they go valuation shopping? And there, you start to build a case. And these are the things that I think are going to be potentially embedded in some of the other information that that Cy Vance, the prosecutor that's involved, will be getting.
And just one last question, Suzanne. Consulting fees for Ivanka Trump, which is something that you exposed in your reporting. What more information might there be on that?
I think you're just going to be looking for specifics about where the money went, not only to Ivanka, but whether consulting fees paid to his other children, and then what did they do to earn them? Was it a no-show thing, or what exactly was behind those fees, or was it an attempt to just simply avoid the gift tax?
Suzanne Craig, Suzanne Craig, Norm Eisen, thank you both so much for helping us understand this. It is a new era, as Norm points out. That is for sure. Next, our medical team on today's COVID milestone, but also what could be the road to recovery. And later, the long-haul airliner you're most likely to fly, and questions about safety in the wake of a fiery engine failure over the Rockies over the weekend. My conversation with Captain Sully Sullenberger ahead.
Is Lisa still on? It looks like Lisa's not still on, and Wolfo was doing a good job, but the broadcast crashed. I think that my data stopped.
Frost premium sliced meats have no byproducts.
Is it?
Land Frost Premium, fresh look, same great taste.
Wolfo had like 160 viewers when the broadcast crashed. Okay, Wolfo, I don't think I can turn the camera back on though. It didn't work. Let me try.
My family and I and the Indianapolis Colts have talked about
Is it?
what causes we really want to get behind. And
Wolfo had like 160
cause we
viewers
want
when
to
the
be
broadcast
advocates
crashed.
about is mental health awareness.
Okay,
I
Wolfo,
struggled
I don't
for a long
think I
time,
can
but then I had to go to
turn
counseling,
the
and it's okay to not be okay.
Let me try.
This thing we going through life is not perfect.
I'll try one more time to turn the camera on. Turn on camera. That's not.
Kicking the stigma is our commitment to eradicating and getting this environment changed.
That does not work for me. Hold on a second. I'm taking a screenshot. I'll try one more time to turn the camera on. Turn on camera. All right. Camera off, because that's not. There's. Wait. Turn off camera. All right. That does not work for me. All right, sorry. Let me turn off one of these. Mute.
So you can explore from thousands of senior living communities. Your family can experience which options will be right for your mom or dad, all from the comforts of home. I could really see mom here, whether it's assisted living, memory care, or independent living. Your senior living advisor will be there every step of the way. Connect with an Place for Mom advisor today to get started. I'm Erin. And I'm Margo. We've always done things our own way, charted our own paths. I wasn't going to just back down from moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis. Psoriatic arthritis wasn't going to change who I am. When I learned that my joint pain could mean permanent joint damage, I asked about Enbrel. Enbrel helps relieve joint pain and helps stop permanent joint damage. Plus, Enbrel helps skin get clearer in psoriatic arthritis. Ask your doctor about Enbrel so you can get back.
Okay, the phone's having a problem, so it's audio only. Because every time they turn the camera on, it's not working. It was working until the broadcast crashed. So Woof Woof says his bedtime's in 5 minutes, so he's getting ready for bed, and he says good night. And he asked me not to yell on my broadcast. That it said you can hear me if I don't yell. Should I open the broadcast studio?
tremendous sadness of the moment and of tonight's COVID milestone, he also reminded Americans to take heart in how far we have climbed back up as a nation. 500,000 lives have been lost, but as of tonight, more than 64 million vaccination doses have been given. Perspective now on the moment from CNN Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta, also CNN medical analyst and former Baltimore Health Commissioner Dr. Leonard Wen. And Sanjay, you know, it's interesting. President Biden expressed sadness and shared a moment of grief with the American people, and that's important emotionally and psychologically, but it also might be important in terms of battling this pandemic, because one of the most significant things that you note as we sit here 500,000
Hello.
later is the possibility of something you call empathy fade. The idea that we've lost the ability to care enough anymore. Why is that so important?
Well, you know, John, first of all, it's a sad moment, you know, obviously what is happening, as you said, and you know, it makes you angry as well, I think, because you do realize so many of these deaths were preventable, and there are still lessons to be learned right now. I mean, you know, no one should be looking at this in the rearview mirror. We still have to. There's lessons that we've learned over the last year that can still be applied right now.
I'm pausing this
One of the things,
for 1 second. I think Woof Woof had 160 viewers when the broadcast crashed, and now the camera won't work right. And I think that it was my data that went out, like my internet provider, like data. Not because I don't have data, just because I think that it lost reception. And now the camera won't go back. It's not working. And if I had had the broadcast studio open, I probably could have gotten it back before I lost the feed, because they only give you like 2 minutes, but it was too late. It said replay. So now I'm trying again. So I'm going to unpause the TV.
But I think just as reporting on this, you know, you tell the story of one person who has died from COVID, and you will listen to that story, maybe have a lot of empathy. If I tell you that story 500,000 times, what happens is that people's compassion starts to fade, or their empathy starts to fatigue. And, you know, my point was earlier is that we can't let that happen. We cannot let that happen, because that would be essentially missing the biggest lesson of all, that this becomes normal, that these numbers sort of wash over us, and we sort of suffer from this psychic numbness. This is not normal. I think about this with my kids all the time. They should not think that what happened this past year was normal. It should never happen again. We got to learn the lessons now to make sure that happens.
I think it's such an important point.
Talk to Meghan McCain.
Dr. Wen, our viewers, the country has looked to you for guidance, in fact, so much the past year. So what's going through your mind tonight?
Well, I think to what Sanjay just mentioned about this really unthinkable milestone that we just hit, I also think about all the lives that we could have saved, but didn't because of a variety of things that happened, lack of a national response. And I also think about what still needs to be done. My biggest fear right now is complacency. We do see the numbers trending in the falling at last, but we are not from people recovering, and we still have the vast majority of the country that's still potentially susceptible to coronavirus. There are projections that we could lose upwards of 150,000 people in the U.S. by the summer. And all those deaths and suffering that's to come, just as we've been saying for the entire pandemic, this is not preordained. There are things that we can do right now to continue to be on our guard for one another. The vaccines are coming, and they are fantastic, and there's so much hope. But there are things that each of us can still do right now to protect ourselves and one another.
And what happens depends on what we do, and what has happened is very much a result of the decisions we made. And Sanjay, as you have noted before, this is a uniquely American failure, what's happened here over the last year, over these 500,000 deaths. What do you think the major lessons that have been learned are?
This is the thing I've been thinking about the most, John, I think over the last several months now. You know, I mean, some of them are very tangible lessons. we didn't invest in our public health system. And this is sort of a sort of larger problem. We tend not to invest in things that are preventative, that we don't, have an immediate benefit. Things that are invisible, we tend to pay less attention to. So this idea that we could have not maybe essentially become pandemic proof, as some people have described it to me, with investments of $10-15 billion, and that those suggestions were made, and yet we didn't do it. So our public health system, but I think a lot of it, John, also has to do with just how we evaluate risk in our society. I mean, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. If it was primarily young children who were affected by this, would our response have been different? Do we value the elderly less in this country? I bring it up because it's a philosophical thing. There's so many tangible things: testing, masks, communication, sourcing of materials, supplies, all those types of things. But just who are we? Our humanity, what did we really show? I think that is something that really harmed us here, because so many of these deaths, again, as Lena and I have been saying, were preventable. No family likes to hear that their loved one's death was preventable, and I apologize for saying that. But so many were, and we still can apply the lessons that we're learning right now to the future.
Dr. Wen, in terms of new information and where we are tonight, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, talked about a new study during today's briefing that shows teachers were a probable source of several school-related COVID-19 outbreaks. But the director didn't say that teachers need to get more priority for vaccines. How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, it's a major mistake. The CDC and the Biden administration needs to step up right now and say that teacher vaccinations are essential. They keep on saying that it's up to state governments and not the federal government. This is not true. The federal government can allocate vaccines specifically for teachers. They can even deploy the National Guard to give vaccinations to educators, to school staff. If getting our children back in school in person is really a priority, we need to be vaccinating our teachers. And as Sanjay mentioned, this is about societal priorities. And I think it's time for the Biden administration to show us what their priorities really are. And if it's about children and our future, then we should also be protecting teachers and school staff too.
Sanjay, Dr. Wen, thank you both for what you've done tonight and also throughout the whole year, throughout all of this. Appreciate it. Yeah. Just ahead, almost 5 years in the making, Judge Merrick Garland finally gets a Senate confirmation hearing, this time as President Biden's pick to be Attorney General. Sharply partisan questions, but also a moment that silenced the room. The details when we return.
Lincoln freed the slaves.
But it's more complicated than that. Lincoln, some things at 10.
And then what happened, Daddy?
Well, see this handsome man? Mm-hmm. His name is William. And William fell in love with Rose, and they had a kid. His name is Charles. And Charles met Martha. Isn't she pretty? Yeah.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit FractureMe.com and print one today.
They're out there, working day and night to breach your data and take what's yours. Ransomware, botnets, zero-day attacks. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Or you could not think about it at all.
This is a sample comment.
This is autonomous
Wait.
cybersecurity. This
Trending. Let me check.
Keeping your oyster business growing as you swap.
1,000 coin bonus for whom?
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor
Who gets the 1,000 coin bonus?
Quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/profit.
My name's Tahira, and I love Robinhood. Robinhood makes it so that I was able to learn.
Who gets a bonus? I want to know.
Seamless and it's easy.
Who gets
a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best.
the bonus?
Every day can help. Metamucil Cereal 5 gel
How?
to track and remove the waste that weighs you down. It also helps lower cholesterol and slows sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels.
so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil. Support your daily digestive health. Take the Metamucil 2-week challenge to feel lighter and more energetic. Sign up today at Metamucil.com. You've been very busy lately. It's time to get reacquainted with your massage routine. Massage Envy massages will give you recharge. Join now and get a free 60-minute massage session. Massage Envy. Keep your body working. Because, yeah, pretty much everyone at that house is going to period.
Watch the killers cold. Good question. Look, Harbor Journal. Who gets the bonus? How? There goes my connection. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Who gets the bonus and how do they get it? I want to know.
Connection. Okay, Harbor. I don't know. I'm going to try to answer your question. Sorry for the disconnection.
That's okay. My whole broadcast crashed.
I don't know why I'm in a bad connection. Bad connection.
Well, what's the answer?
There you go. Oh, you saw Portland Harbor Journal. Let me answer your question. As a member of HAPS, as you continue to be a streamer, they will remind you by email that if you haven't streamed, you are going to miss out on 1,000 points. You get the points. Coins.
But how?
And if you stream, you get those coins, and then you can use those coins to support other people. Sorry. Well, I got a bad connection. It says internet. No, it's good. So anyway, since it's been at least 5 days since I streamed, I got emailed. It says, "Hey, you get a bonus of 1,000 coins if you stream today." So that's what I'm doing. Now I get 1,000 coins, and my count should be 1,500 coins. I think it is. Yeah. So now I can use those coins when I say you broadcast. Then I can give you those coins by giving you those awards, those points. Yeah, man. So that's the only reason I stream once in a while, maybe once a week, twice a week. But I don't stream for that long because I'm not much of a talker or whatever, and I just do my thing and then get off. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to go, whatever, and I'll try to keep up with the comments. And Dave said hello from St. John, so I apologize for the internet connection. I can tell it's lagging. I can see it right there. It's lagging right there. Yeah, thanks a lot, Harbor. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Internet connection is unstable. Mm-hmm. So I'm going over my lessons. B3, flat 3, flat 7, Dorian.
Mine works better on data on my phone.
2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 7.
I have no idea how many viewers are in here. Wait, comments. Let's check.
I gotta get memorize is remembering the number of flats on each of these different modes. And for some reason, I had trouble remembering them. High five! Thanks a lot for high five.
You're welcome.
Journal. Mine works better on phone data. I know. You know, and I use the thing with the phone is you don't have access to the features, the full features on apps, so you can't do the online calling, limited to the way it looks on phone at times, but I've used it. I don't have problems with connections anyway. I still do. With data, you would think it'd be better. I think it is a tad bit better, but not much overall in my view. But and I don't want to use the phone because it's so small to look at. You know, everything's all tiny and it's limited to what you can do, and it's like, yeah, this sucks. So. Your internet connection is unstable.
Did that just drop? It said your internet connection is unstable. Did it drop? All right, I'm out. Okay, like not you guys. I'm out of that broadcast. I'm gonna unpause my TV.
Bloody confession.
I'm gonna check my broadcast. Wait, am I? Right, I'm out. Okay, like not you guys. I'm out of that broadcast. I'm gonna unpause my TV. And yes, I took that picture that's on my screen. Wait, am I?
That's what the
Okay, like not you guys. I'm out of that broadcast. I'm gonna unpause my TV. And yes, I took that picture that's on my screen. What is this all the background noise?
That's how we do business. And of course, thank you. From our 3-month test process, Foundation product line, the first people why we have voted the best new car dealership in Clark County for 5 consecutive years. But it's our exceptional team that truly differentiates us. And that's why we have named the 2021 Washington State Times Dealer of the Year. As one of the top
Where's it coming from?
in the 5 surrounding states. And of course, Vancouver, Florida, we make it easy.
Apollo 11 quarantine on March 6th on CNN.
Almost 5 years after President Obama nominated him for the Supreme Court, Merrick Garland finally got a Senate hearing, denied him by Republicans. Not for the top court in the land as in 2016, but this time as the nation's top law enforcement official, Attorney General. More now on a 10th hearing from correctional correspondent Ryan Knowles. Finally got a Senate hearing.
All right, I unplugged the phone and it stopped.
Merrick Garland, President Biden's pick for Attorney General, making it clear the Justice Department he runs will be different from the one he would inherit.
I'm not the president's lawyer. I am a United States lawyer.
Garland pledged an independent DOJ, one that would follow the rule of law and pursue prosecutions aimed at confronting America's biggest problem.
If confirmed, I will supervise the prosecution of white supremacists and others who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, a heinous attack that sought to disrupt a cornerstone of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power to a newly elected government.
Garland, a federal judge, said the investigation into the January 6th insurrection will be a massive job and his top priority.
I think this was the most heinous attack on the democratic processes that I've ever seen, and one that I never expected to see in my lifetime. But one of the very first things I will do is get a briefing on the progress of this investigation. I intend to give the career prosecutors who are working on this matter 24/7 all of the resources they could possibly require to do this.
Garland took tough questions from Republican senators on a wide range of controversial topics, like his support of the death penalty for Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh, something he says he doesn't regret. And Garland says he has now come to question capital punishment in general.
Because of how seldom it's applied and because of its disparate impact on Black Americans and members of other communities of color. Those are the things that give me pause.
He also pushed back on the idea of defunding the police.
President Biden has said he does not support defunding the police, and neither do I.
Arguing that while reform of policing is necessary, a wholesale reduction in funding is not the answer.
Ryan Knowles joins us now. Ryan, Democrats obviously supportive of the Garland nomination. What are you hearing from Republicans, though?
John, it looks right now as though this nomination is going to sail through the United States Senate. You know, Joe Biden obviously going with a more moderate pick in Merrick Garland, and that seems to have resonated with Republicans. And they were particularly impressed by his performance today. Both Chuck Grassley of Iowa, John Cornyn from Texas left that hearing saying that they believe Garland should be confirmed. So while there are other nominees that the Biden administration is nervous about, Merrick Garland is no longer one of them, and he's expected to be confirmed as the next Attorney General in very short order.
Ryan Knowles, thanks very much. So perhaps the most poignant moment of the day, Judge Garland's response to a question about how his own painful family history informed his career in prosecuting injustice and tolerance.
I come from a family
when my grandparents fled anti-Semitism and persecution. The country took us in, and protected us. And I feel an obligation to the country to pay back. And this is the highest, best use of my own set of skills to pay back. And so I want very much to be the kind of attorney general that you're saying I could become. I'll do my best to try and be that kind of attorney general. I believe your heart.
What a moment. Perspective now from CNN Chief National Correspondent John King and CNN Chief Political Analyst Gloria Borger. Gloria, I mean, the emotion in that moment was palpable. I mean, you could sense the world stood still in that hearing room and beyond when Judge Garland was talking about it, and not just because of what he was saying there, but also his history prosecuting Oklahoma City, the history now with the attack on the U.S. Capitol, the history going forward, the fact that Judge Garland has pledged to prosecute white supremacy and the crimes that arise from that. It really was remarkable.
It was a remarkable moment. And what you could hear in his voice is really somebody who spent his entire career devoted to public service. And when he talks about pay back, he's not talking about payback like we've heard over the last 4 years as in vengeance or revenge. He is talking about paying back to this country that he is so devoted to. And when you look at his resume, it is a resume of public service. And I don't think that anybody sitting in that room, whether they agree with the Biden agenda or disagree with the Biden agenda, could not help but feel simpatico with him because they too, in their own ways, some more than others, consider themselves public servants. And there's, you can only admire what he was saying there.
John, the messaging wasn't subtle overall with Judge Garland. It never is. Particularly not this time with Judge Garland saying, I'm not going to be the president's attorney. I'm going to be, the attorney of the United States. And what a time to take over as the attorney of the United States. I mean, there is so much to do.
Look, across his desk in the months ahead, he's going to be confirmed easily. He's going to get overwhelming Republican support as well as Democrats. He's going to have to make a tough decision about the president's son, perhaps, the Delaware Attorney General, U.S. Attorney, looking into Hunter Biden's taxes. If there's something there, that's a very difficult decision for the Attorney General. If there's nothing there, it's still a difficult decision. He has to be transparent and try to convince Republican skeptics they scrubbed it, and that's the way it came out. Rudy Giuliani investigations, possible Trump investigations. So he was saying he's not the president's lawyer. He wants to remove politics from the Justice Department. He wants to remove politics in terms of the president's relationship with the Attorney General, John. You know, a lot of politics is going to come across his desk, plus the insurrection investigations, plus race relations, plus voting rights. This is an incredibly difficult job and an incredibly consequential moment.
And Gloria, he did face direct questions about what are you going to do about the Hunter Biden investigations? What are you going to do about Andrew Cuomo in New York? What are you going to do about the U.S. Attorney investigation into the Russia investigation? How do you think he answered those questions?
He said, I don't know yet. I don't know enough about it yet. What he did say, what he did make clear is that he has not talked to the President of the United States about Hunter Biden, and that he has not yet picked up the phone and called John Durham, who is doing the investigation into the FBI's role in the Trump-Russia matter, that he is someone who, like a good judge, hasn't heard the case yet. And so he showed that he had an open mind, that he wasn't likely to sweep anything under the rug. And don't forget, there's a context here for Merrick Garland. People respect him as a judge. We know what happened 5 years ago and what a difference 5 years makes when he couldn't get a hearing as a Supreme Court nominee. But he comes into that role with a lot of respect on both sides of the aisle. So when he says, I got to figure it out, I think they have to take him at his word.
Gloria, John, don't go far. When we return, he's back, or he will be. This weekend, the former president will give his first public speech since leaving office, and by the sound of it, the far right already got the talking points. We'll explain when 360 returns.
Here, but I'm also so torn because that's so important to me. So I don't know, I want to change my mind, but I also don't want to like be that guy. So.
Lisa, you do realize I'm a professional bodyguard, right?
What?
Did you know I'm a professional bodyguard?
I may or may not have done that.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me interject really quickly. The key operative word in that sentence was.
Dillium. What I'm trying to make is, I've got a very good read on people. And this girl right here, the hamster girl, Lisa, I can't say the last name yet, but Lisa is chick.
Is that me? It's frozen.
You are a person of strong convictions. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, man. I'd rather have a person like that than someone that just don't believe in nothing. Believe in something. I don't care if it's good, if it's bad.
I'm so sorry. I need you to like start at the beginning of that because it cut out and I don't.
She froze.
I'm like literally next
She froze.
to my Wi-Fi box, but
She's sitting right next to a Wi-Fi box, so you have to repeat. Please repeat.
Well, there she is right there. I didn't even see her. Oh, there she is. What's going on, Lisa? I can see you now.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what did you say?
I said I didn't see you before. I can see you now. How you doing?
Great.
But listen, I want to tell you about my friend is coming in. I hadn't seen him I saw him 2 years ago, but it's been like 35 years. And probably 20 years of my life, I danced to his songs. You know, we used to all of us. But he's coming from Mississippi tomorrow, and he's got a cold. He's not going to be able to sing certain songs, he said, but I was surprised when he said he's going to perform tomorrow at 2 o'clock. But he's going to do it, man. He's going to try to test it out, see if the sound sounds right.
I'll tune in for sure.
And I told him about you. You want to know the different people. And I said, well, I'd recommend Lisa and Chris. You know, I've met Chris Gills, right? Did you know that?
I heard that today earlier, and I believe
I met Chris Gills out there in Memphis on Bill Street. Have you ever heard of him, Lisa?
Well, everybody knows Chris.
Oh, y'all all know Chris?
Yes, from Periscope.
Oh.
Does like all the blues and and he sings. Hell yeah.
I know, man. We used to see him all the time. We'd go in there. When I go out there we'd see him all the time. He's on one certain club out there on Bill Street. Chris Gills. He plays guitar by himself. He's badass, man. Now, I'll tell you, Eddie's a lot like him in the way personality.
Oh my God.
His personality is way better than what I think his music is, or what I used to remember. You know, he can go to ZZ Top, or he got his own material. But I think, here's the deal. I got to tell Lisa and you too. Here's the deal. I'm fixing to get these business cards. Okay, these business cards are not going to be going up on counters somewhere. These business cards are going to be thought out, and just like when I fix to get some charter boats in here, it's going to go out in the Gulf of Mexico and fish and different things. I want people to come on here. I'm going to check their ass out. I don't want just anybody coming on. This thing ain't never going to be a Periscope while I'm on here. I can tell you right now, it won't happen. It ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't gonna turn loud like that. And we're gonna get good people on there like these musicians. And I was proud. I tell you, man, I had a tear come to my eye when I was thinking about Eddie. When I was thinking about him, coming on here because I ain't seen him so long. And I said, man, everybody likes him. Or at least I got.
It's weird.
I can't see you, Lisa. But how would it be to go through life where nobody, you have no enemies? You can't find one person down there who will ever say anything bad about Eddie McDaniels. Not one. How do you do that? How do you live that way?
I think you just be nice to people, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just I've got everybody's had trolls and enemies and all that stuff, and a lot of it's just little petty stuff, little high school drama. But
I mean, I think if your friend was like on Periscope or on here, like maybe not on here, but on Periscope, like maybe like there would be some random trolls. So I feel like there's never been a troll, but also like a lot of the people that are like attacking all of us online aren't people that actually like have a bad thing to say about us. They're just coming out of nowhere to.
Lisa, have you noticed a difference? So I haven't been bothered by trolls hardly at all over here.
You haven't what?
I have not been bothered by trolls hardly at all over here.
No, same. When I go live from here to Periscope, obviously there are like still some, people that are watching from Periscope that have been trolls, but I had a little bit of that on here one night, but not that, after being on Periscope all night, there's many things like that. So no, has done a good job of not.
I got trolled by an unblockable Twitter troll last night.
Are you getting stir crazy out there? You can't do much out there, can you, right now?
No, can't. And so I actually left my apartment and went to a hotel for the last 4 nights because I was losing my shit. So, sorry to swear on your. Sorry, I'm not on my own broadcast. Sorry for swearing.
Something I want to tell you. Are you familiar with Britney's Quest? Do you know her?
I think she does.
I might, but I have ADD, so I forget things really fast. So maybe.
She's in California, and she's a personal trainer and a nutritionist. And she lives out there close to you, I think.
Well, Lisa, you know Yo Pickles, right?
Yeah. I do, yeah. We were in Australia.
Yes. So Britney's Quest was living in Australia for a while, and her and Yo Pickles used to broadcast together.
I don't think we were in Australia at the same time then, because I was with Yo Pickles in Australia, but I don't know that I was there at the same time as Britney. But I hope that I'm right about that, because I'll feel like a jerk if I'm wrong. But I will check her out.
She's out there in California, and she used to have a real good job out there, making like $400,000 a year. And she got in this fitness thing, decided to become a nutritionist, a personal trainer. And I met her. I stopped by and seen her when I was coming to Nashville. Just a wonderful.
I feel like the second I see a picture of her, I'll be like, oh my god, of course. Obviously, it's
beautiful
like,
girl.
right now, it's not really great, but.
She's real cute, and she's got these super deep dimples.
Oh, she's beautiful, man. She's just a beautiful. And I will tell you, meeting Britney, she's like a little niece to me. But I'll tell you, meet her in person, she's even prettier in person than what this camera ever does her justice. She's a beautiful girl, and a girl of strong convictions. Now, if you want to talk two that would get along properly, it would be you two, because Britney she ain't gonna bunch of damn ends. Zero. She'll shut that shit down real fast. If you try to get her to sway her out, she really believes, you can forget that. That ain't gonna happen.
I wouldn't try to sway someone out of what they really believe. I think that's what he said. I wouldn't try to do that though.
Well, what's the use? What's the use?
I mean, yeah. I mean, also though, if someone believes something that I think is like really asinine, like I might be like, all right, well, like let's at least open our minds to something else. Like not driving like I mean, I'm not gonna really try to sway people out of their opinions, because I know that it's sort of a lost cause. I'd rather find the people that are like in the middle, that are willing to like hear my point of view. I feel like I've learned that a lot over the last year and a half. Is like, there are certain people that want to hear your opinion and like want to learn and want to know different things, and there are certain people that I'm not saying that she is a person that doesn't want to hear other opinions. I'm like tangenting into politics, which has nothing to do with her. But a lot of the arguments that I've tried to make this year with people that are like very set in their ways, it's like, I don't know that you're hearing me. So, probably I'm not hearing those people as much as I should either. So it's.
Hey, you know what, Lisa? I was thinking about you today, and you know Bobby Bicker, right?
I do. I mean, not in person really, but yes, I know who. I know her.
Have you seen her do her artwork?
Yeah, I have. She's super talented.
Okay. Are you an artist?
Not in that same sense.
I think you are, because she did something today I don't know what she calls it, but with some lines, some different. It's these markers. It's like these markers. It's an ink. It's not water-based paint. It's these markers you push down. It's like a damn big. I don't know what it was, but what she did today, you ought to see her replay and look at it.
What is it? A calligraphy pen?
Yo, calligraphy is hard. I tried that one. It's hard.
Pick it up.
Is it like one of those little Asian calligraphy pens?
I'll check it out.
I don't know. No, it's like big markers. It's like a big Sharpie, but you push it like you would those shoe shine.
Aneem.
You shoe shine. You push that button and it come out. That's how it does it. But the way she did it, I'm getting my art supplies. I was going to get them in the morning. I will get them before I come back from Columbus. I will get them up in Columbus. I can do what she did today. I can do in a heartbeat.
Oh, she did pop art today. That's what she did. She did pop art.
Aneem is Lou.
Oh, Lisa.
Yeah, this is just pop art.
Look at this.
Oh yeah, this is basically, it's like, Lisa, do you know like when we were in high school and we make these like posters, like cheerleader posters?
Yeah.
And it's basically like this big fat marker. That's what it is.
I can't see it. Oh, okay. I made my mom like a little birthday poster this year.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
Because I couldn't get near her because of COVID, so I went stood on the other side of the yard with a big sign that said "Happy Birthday."
Oh, that's so cute.
It's got rectangles. It's got squares. It's got lines.
Bobby Becker, she's so versatile. You know, she not just works with one medium.
Eunice.
Like some artists are just
now I see Eunice on here.
Oil painter. She works with all mediums, and she paints on the body. She paints on the hands. She paints on t-shirts. She's so versatile in everything that she does.
Yeah, every time I see her, I think she's doing something different than the last time I saw her. So yeah.
You know what I thought today when I watched her? I said that is a very, very, very talented right hand.
I'm trying to say hi to Eunice, but it's not letting me.
I said, man, that chick is just,
hi, Eunice.
She's sort of different.
Who's dinging?
She is just, in her voice, when she's got that slow music going, and she's talking with that voice, sometimes it puts me.
I'm trying to say hi. It's not letting me.
It's almost like you get hypnotized. It's like she's like some kind of energy that you're just drawn to. She's a true entertainer. That's what she is. In my book.
I love her accent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, love that accent that she has.
Yeah, she painted that picture of me as a boy, and I'm waiting to get it. When I get it, I'm gonna get it framed and give it to my mom. And so that's coming in, and she did a good job. She didn't have much to work with. She didn't have the right picture. She did a good job on it.
Yeah, so Lisa's like,
these numbers are not moving on my computer at all.
I just realized there's people like I could see the comments on.
Yeah, he commissioned
748 comments that I didn't see.
And so Bannerman commissioned Bobby Becker to do a watercolor of him when he was a baby, and he's going to be giving it to his mom.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
On the picture?
What?
Are you showing the picture you put?
No, I'm not showing the picture. No.
Someone said it's so cute. What are they talking about, Eric? Was that?
No, because I was just telling Lee, Bannerman, you're so out of it.
How do you not know what's going on? Just kidding, I don't either. But I like your comments a minute ago.
Fine.
So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give away a t-shirt right now.
One person said hi back, Eric Levitt.
And I've got a number in my head. Between, you pick a number between 1 and 100.
Did I get invited up?
Wait, we need details. What kind of t-shirt?
Ooh, my present?
A real nice t-shirt. I used to be in a t-shirt. It's a real nice. It's more like a casual thing. It's a nice t-shirt. Nice t-shirt.
I can't flip the camera. No.
Let me just put it to you like this. It costs $38. So you tell me whether it's nice or not.
Scott in Vegas.
My camera's right there.
You're good. You're good, Lisa.
It's not a T-shirt.
I can't see it. See, for me, everything's frozen, so I don't know if I'm on here or.
It's like it's a good, but it's
Nice
just
flowers,
material they
Lisa.
got out.
I said hi to Lenny.
And so anyway, pick it. So each one of you don't know. I thought everybody in the
Why are we giving numbers? 66, 52, hike? What?
I'm talking about you, Barry. Number between 1 and 100.
Oh, you want us to say a number?
Hold on a second. Let me get my number. Hold on a second. Let me get my number here. Okay, I got a number.
Wait, but I wasn't paying attention because I thought you were talking to everybody. So what is it's a number between what now?
Between 1 and 100. Between 1 and 800.
5.
Who said that?
Lisa says 5.
I didn't hear you say. Okay, go ahead, Dick Barry.
That would have been my number too.
Oh, I can say another one. 7.
Oh no, I'll go 88. I'll go 88.
No, you can't. I just stop this. You said 5. You got to stick with 5.
My number's 88.
Well, you lost, Dick Barry. The number was 3. Dale Earnhardt 3.
3.
So
Dale Earnhardt 3. Nice.
The number has stayed at 12 for like a long time. Let me look.
So what does Lisa get?
She got the damn T-shirt. It was a contest. I just told. What do you mean?
I thought it was
T-shirt.
for the room.
You've been listening. I got one coming.
Ow!
Have you been listening to me?
I have no idea what's happening right now, but I
Well,
think I'm so happy.
Are you ready to do one for the room?
What? Sure. The room already had numbers.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, they were all saying them.
Let's go. Woman's T-shirt and man's T-shirt. Go with the man first. Pick a number between. Okay, let me get. I'll tell you what, Lisa. You pick a number. You pick a number in
I
your
already
head.
picked one. I already won. You're putting
No, Lisa, no. You now that you're a winner, you pick a number in your head.
I'm gonna check the.
Guesses. Once you get the number, don't say it out loud.
I'm not going to. I understand the game.
All right.
Okay, I picked one.
Okay, you picked one. This is for the men.
Men's T-shirt. You give me the size, and it's going to probably be something with something. We're going to get you a nice T-shirt. It's not going to be as nice as women because you don't deserve it. It's not going to be as nice.
Brian says 1. Let's see.
Okay.
The men. Michael says 12.
One pick, and if you guess twice, it's going to be eliminated from this
Yeah.
right here.
Brian is 1. Michael is 12. What else?
How many guesses are we allowing? Is it just
Charles
as many people as one guess?
is 52.
Everybody.
Raymond is 39. So Charles is 52. Lou is 60.
Wow.
Okay. How? When do I say who's close?
Kevin is number 2.
18 from Brian to Texas.
No, Brian. No, Peyton Manning. Never voted twice.
Debbie, is that Debbie?
Debbie, this is for the men, Debbie. Okay, you guys don't pay attention.
All right, well, I'm going to show the number now, and then you can tell me who was closest, because I can't see the comments.
No.
Enoch is number 4.
Okay, here's how we're gonna do it. You've got 30 seconds. If you've already voted, do not vote again. If you vote again, I'm gonna disqualify you this giveaway. Do not vote twice. Now you got 30 seconds to get your
Did
number.
it say hello from Portland in here?
Starting now. 30 seconds.
Yeah, it does.
DS comes in at 68. DMAC comes in at number 4. Jay comes in at 71.
28 seconds. 25 seconds. 24. 23. 22. 21. 20. 19.
Wait, Kevin says 2?
17.
Kevin says 2.
15.
Daniel 55.
12.
I hope I'm not supposed to keep track of all these answers.
9. 8.
Scott in Vegas is 37.
6. 5, 4, 3. We got to hold on 3. We've got to hold on 3. We got a 15-second hold on 3. Get your damn boats in here. You got 15. You got 18 seconds. A hold on 3. Okay, here we go. 15, 14, 13.
Well, what happened to 2? I thought we were on number 2. What the hell?
11.
Yeah. Oh, what is happening?
I'm so confused.
8.
I got a number on it up like that. That's like that's my only part of it.
Get them in. 5, 4, 3,
37, 42.
1. The vote's over with. No more votes. Nobody put another number up there. You're gonna be.
What does GLHF stand for? Good luck, have fun.
Would you like to ask Lisa to?
47.
What
The
is it?
number is 47.
47. Now let's scroll back. 47.
Real names,
Keep track. I
please.
can't do the comments, so.
Hi.
But that's a lot of work to figure out who wins.
47. Hold on. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's a 52. There's a 52.
There's a 33.
Oh, 52 looks like it's going to take it.
For a long what?
Oh, there's 20. What is this?
For a long, meaningful conversation.
Charles said 52.
Did Charles win it?
63, 37, 56. Wait a minute, 56. What was that number? 47?
47.
There's a 55.
Last chance to
Daniel came
what?
in at 55.
Wait, what was it? 52?
To upgrade before the event and receive the pre-whatever. Currently it's
Here's the
spinach.
easiest way to do this. The winner knows who won. Not who won. You tell us who won. The winner's already looked at their numbers. You tell us who won.
Meaning,
Yeah, plus
Me or the winner? I don't know.
the winner up there, tell us who won. You're looking at your numbers.
Charles, it looks like Charles is the closest one.
Charles, it sounded like Charles was the winner.
Charles came in at 52.
Congratulations.
Charles is 5 off because the number is 47 and he's at 52.
Okay, who else is close? Anybody?
And then the next person came in that was seven away. So Charles is still the closest. If I'm not right, you better speak up now.
if I plug in the phone, are you going to get feedback again? If I plug in the phone, are you going to get feedback again?
Yeah, Charles.
Countdown. If you go to protest this t-shirt, you got 10 seconds. Starting out.
I think it's Charles. Charles came in at 52.
Good job, Charles.
8 seconds.
And I believe Charles is in Canada.
Heck yeah.
5 seconds.
Love Canada.
Yeah, I think Charles is in Canada.
4,
Sorry.
3, 2, 1. The vote. It's over with. Nobody protested.
It's Charles.
It's Charles. Heck yeah, Charles.
Congratulations, Charles. Congratulations. We're going to send you some little Mississippi love on it. Okay, now let's get to the women's drawing. For the women out here.
Wait, are we really? Because I gotta be honest, you guys, I'm actually feeling about to go to bed. My first
Yeah, no worries. No worries. No worries. Go night night. Need some beauty sleep, Banner Man.
Take care.
Okay, I love you guys. Thank you for having me on your broadcast.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
2 broadcasts ever, so I'm very obviously like a little nervous, but
You're
happy.
good.
Legally,
You're
that's
good.
it.
You're all good. You're all good.
Come hang with us sometime.
Do what I want.
I said, come hang with us sometime. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. I'm not talking.
I'm new. Like I said, like I know you guys are like seasoned hapsers, so I'm just trying to,
What? Season hapsers? What?
Hi, Vince. What do you mean? It's frozen? How do I fix it?
Yeah, but you're a natural, Lisa. You're a natural.
I'd give my hand up in a second if I had Lisa's hand.
Well, I love you guys, and thank you for having me, and I will see you very soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we got the drawing for the women's t-shirt coming up here.
For the women.
Barry, I'm gonna let you pick a number.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna write this down so that you guys know. No, call me cheater. Okay, the number is.
What do you mean it's frozen? It's frozen or there's no picture? Are you getting feedback? Should I check it? Let me check it. Wait, what number do I want?
Get your votes in. It's gonna be for a free T-shirt and a nice T-shirt. Not a
Pop-Tart.
T-shirt. This
Good
is
night.
like a $30, $40 T-shirt.
Pick 2.
Okay, I got my number down.
Go with the numbers.
This is for the ladies.
All right, let me try the sound.
That's great. What do you got?
Harvard says 4.
Harvard's got a 4, okay?
Harvard's got a 4.
Okay, Ned's not interested in voting, okay?
I'm not interested. Lynn's not interested. Michael, you need to check. Make sure you have a vagina first.
Oh my God.
Ella comes in at number 28. Deb comes in at number 46.
Okay.
So go ahead and count them down, Banner.
30 seconds.
Give them a clock.
30 seconds. 28.
37 hike. What's the number?
Ladies.
24.
Thanks, Lisa.
22.
Daniel wants it for his wife. He says 37.
It don't matter. 22, 22nd. 18.
Shirley says, I pass, thanks.
What's the number?
What I just heard from.
Kalina says 42.
We got 10
Lovely Kalina. Huh?
We got 10 seconds.
You got 10 seconds.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What?
4, 3. Vaginal check. I have no idea what I'm guessing. She's like, I'm just gonna throw it out there. All right, is it time up?
Yeah, time's up. Who was it?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well too, Kalina. One of you actually guessed the exact number.
What was the number?
28. Lisa needs a bodyguard. I'm hiring you.
You guessed the exact number.
Okay.
We are so jiving.
What was the number? Tell us.
I'm putting it on the screen.
Where?
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds. I've recently learned that Big Wireless spends a lot on political lobbying. But at Mint Mobile, we prefer to invest our money in stuff for you. So today, I'm announcing free data upgrades on every plan. Of course, if for some reason you want your wireless carrier to donate to politicians, well, we found one who is a good boy named Max. Yes, who's in the bucket of big business? Mint Mobile. Now, with more money.
10 years ago, we founded Loan Depot because we were confident we could deliver the American dream of home ownership to individuals and families across the nation. At Loan Depot, we know home means everything.
Julia? You look amazing! Jenny Craig Works, introducing Rapid Results Max, our most effective weight loss program ever. Take your weight loss to the max with our delicious meals and our revolutionary recharge bar designed to increase fat burn and keep you less hungry.
Doing Jenny Craig, my best decision ever.
You can lose up to 17 pounds in your first 4 weeks.
Max was so easy and it worked.
Call now. Limited time offer and flexible delivery options with Jenny Craig. The moment Proactive started working, I felt relieved, empowered,
Hopeful.
confident.
Good vibes.
I felt like I could take on the world, like I could finally just be me.
Get that clear skin feeling with our free skincare systems. They've got clinically proven ingredients to clear skin, and they're dermatologist tested to be gentle. Proactive Solution works great for most skin types. Proactive Plus is effective yet gentle enough for sensitive skin. And there's Proactive MD for that stubborn acne. My skin looks awesome. Subscribe today risk-free at proactive.com and get consistently clear skin delivered to your door.
Welcome. Today's discussion will be around sliced meat.
Moms want healthy and affordable.
Land Frost Premium.
No added hormones either.
It's the only protein I've really melted with.
Land Frost Premium. Fresh look, same great taste.
To understand Italy, you need to look at the food. So, Bologna, people here really know how to wait, and because they've waited, I don't have to. So,
Stanley Tucci, searching for Italy, Sunday at 9.
It's back, guys. Check it out.
What up, people?
Jack, what are you doing in my car?
Oh, just sharing my triple bonus jack combo. Triple meat and cheese, secret sauce. Go ahead, tell them how much it is. It's just $5.99. Only a Jack in the Box. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Want to meet your outdoor goals this spring? You'll need one heck of a tractor. Take home a new John Deere 1023E with D120 loader today for as low as $169 per month. And get 0 down and 0% financing for 84 months. With free delivery on all 1 to 4 series compact tractors within 30 miles of your Pape Machinery Ag and Turf dealer. There's never been a better time to work your land. Visit PapeMachinery.com for more.
Good news, friends. My triple bonus jack combo is back. It's the triple meat and cheese you need, the secret sauce you love, plus curly fries and a drink. It's a pretty legit combo, and it's just $5.99. Only a Jack in the Box.
I'm Mother Roger on Capitol Hill, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by TheraWorks Relief. Prevent and relieve muscle cramps.
If you're suffering from muscle cramps or muscle spasms, you need to try TheraWorks Relief. I have patients tell me every day that TheraWorks Relief works.
Get TheraWorks Relief today in stores everywhere.
The Supreme Court decision on the former president's tax documents comes just as he's about to make his first public appearance since leaving the White House. He's scheduled to speak this weekend at the annual Conservative Political Action Conference, known more commonly as CPAC. The source tells CNN the speech will be about the, quote, future of the Republican Party and the conservative movement, neither of which, it seems, can quit the former president. For instance, just this weekend, the number 2 Republican in the House, Congressman Steve Scalise, was repeatedly asked a simple question about who won the election, and he couldn't answer.
The election was not stolen, correct? Look, Joe Biden's the president. There were a few states that did not follow their state laws. That's really the dispute that you've seen continue on. I asked you, is he the legitimate president of the United States, and do you concede that this election was not stolen? Very simple question, please. Just answer. Look, once the electors are counted, yes, he's the legitimate president. But if you're going to ignore the fact that there were states that did not follow their own state legislatively set laws, that's the issue at heart.
So those replies, as squirrely as they are, aren't as bad as what's on the agenda at CPAC. For starters, there's a 7-part series on protecting elections, they say. That's right, 7 parts. It spans almost the entirety of the conference. And just to give you a taste of what's in store, here are some of the session titles. Protecting Elections Part 2, Other Culprits, Why Judges and Media Refuse to Look at the Evidence. There's Protecting Elections Part 3, The Left Pulled the Strings, Covered it Up, and even admits it. And if a 7-part series isn't enough, there's also this panel, Did Your Vote Count? Ask the Experts. Back with us, John King and Gloria Borger. And John, the titles of these sessions really get to the world that the former president is now living in. You say it's almost a parallel universe. What do you mean?
It is a parallel universe. Look, what happened today? America marked this horrific milestone. 500,000 of our friends and neighbors and relatives dead from COVID. Most of that is on President Trump, who walked away from science, walked away from common sense, ignored a pandemic on his watch. What happened on January 6th? An insurrection that came after a rally led by the former president. He is stained by history. He's stained by his actions. He's stained by his record. But he has what used to be an organization born of William F. Buckley about conservative ideas, about rebels, about challenging the establishment. Now it's the Trump Sycophant Society. That's what it is, John, pure and simple. I covered CPAC for years. That organization doesn't exist anymore. This is the Trump parallel universe right now. Let's keep promoting the big lie. The big lie that is an attack on the truth, attack on the fact, attack on decency, and attack on democracy. Go for it.
Gloria, one person who will not be at CPAC this weekend is the former vice president, Mike Pence. And you've got some new reporting tonight on the relationship between the former president and former vice president and what's been going on there. What have you learned?
I was told by a knowledgeable source that Pence and Trump have spoken a couple of times since the inauguration. Pence called Trump once, and it went the other way around the other time. And I was told that the relationship is amicable. That's it. My source would go no further and would not describe the contents of the phone calls. But as you mentioned, Pence has decided to hang back and stay quiet for 6 months. And my source said to me, look, this is the tradition. Remember that, of the outgoing president and vice president? Give the new president some room. Obviously, Donald Trump has decided not to do that. And Mike Pence has decided, yeah, I'm going to hang back a little bit. And that may be more about him and trying to see the lay of the land than anything else.
All right, that's interesting. Trying to figure out where Mike Pence currently fits on the Republican spectrum.
Give
John,
who room?
Where does he fit on?
Plan? Do that. Source said to me, look, this is the tradition. Remember that, of the outgoing president and vice president? Give the new president some room. Obviously, Donald Trump has decided not to do that. And Mike Pence has decided, yeah, I'm going to hang back a little bit. And that may be more about him and trying to see the lay of the land than anything else.
All right, that's interesting. Trying to figure out where Mike Pence currently fits on the Republican spectrum. John, where does he fit on the Republican spectrum going forward?
It's tough. The old Mike Pence was a Christian conservative. He was sort of a Chamber of Commerce, lower taxes, less Washington, right? When he was in the House of Representatives and as Indiana governor, he was your traditional, if you're a Democrat out there, you might disagree with him. If you're a liberal out there, you might disagree with him. But he was a principled conservative coming out of his Christian faith and his smaller, less government, Midwestern roots, if you will. Look, he's now a Trump Republican. He is Trump's vice president. That's hard to escape. He's smart right now, John. Lay low. Lay low because you don't want to be part of promoting the big lie again. Lay low because you want to respect the new administration as it tries to deal with the pandemic. Lay low because you never know what Donald Trump is going to do. And if you're Mike Pence, you've been caught up in enough of it already. Can he recover from that? You know, we got a long way to go to 2024 and beyond, and we don't know what Donald Trump's role will be when we get to those elections. So Pence is doing the smart thing right now, which is just stay out of it.
Look, right, and don't forget, he's got different friends than the president. I mean, for example, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey is a very close friend of Mike Pence's. He runs the Republican Governors Association. So has he broken up that relationship? Absolutely not.
We should add, John, what would happen? What would have happened to Mike Pence had he walked on stage at CPAC, given the fact that he presided on January 6th when they
Who is he friends with?
the Electoral College count?
No, right, and don't forget, he's got different friends than the president. I mean, for example, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey is a very close friend of Mike Pence's. He runs the Republican Governors Association. So has he broken up that relationship? Absolutely not.
We should add, John, what would happen? What would have happened to Mike Pence had he walked on stage at CPAC, given the fact that he presided on January 6th when they verified the Electoral College count? How would that crowd have received it?
Well, the program you just went through answers your question. They're going to still continue to promote the big lie. Mike Pence honored the Constitution. He honored his duty on that day. And again, all the praise he got from Democrats who didn't think much of Mike Pence for the first 3 years and 11 months of the Trump administration. He did stand up at the end and he did the right thing. Now, there are a lot of Trump supporters on the floor of CPAC who would remember his loyalty to the president for most of it. But you're right. The anger right now for those who still want to promote the big lie and help the former president live in fantasy land, that he won the election in a landslide, as he likes to say, they still have issues with Mike Pence. He's smart to stay away from all that.
And what will Donald Trump say about Mike Pence? There.
It's a great question. I mean, what will he say in general when he goes onto that stage, and who will help him prepare for it, if anyone? What will his message be, if anything, coherent? Those are some of the questions. I know we don't have answers to those yet. I think there's a great deal of concern in some Republican circles about what he will do. Lindsey Graham. I hope Daniel Dale is resting. He's going to be busy that day. Daniel Dale is at a spa for every minute up until Sunday, so he can be ready and rest for it. Gloria, Lindsey Graham spent some time golfing with the former president and apparently sharing his phone with the former president so he could call U.S. senators and basically tell them, you had my back, I'm going to have yours now. What's the significance of that?
Lindsey Graham wants to portray this as Donald Trump wants to help us win back control of the Senate, and he's working day and night to make sure that happens. What this is really about for Donald Trump is vengeance, revenge, call it what you will. And he wants to get back at those folks and primary those people or help primary those people who weren't with him on the big lie. And that's what this is about for Donald Trump. So watch out if you were on the other side of this, whether you're in the House or whether you're in the Senate or whether you're deciding to run for office. For Donald Trump, there's one litmus test, and that is you have to buy into the rigged election. And as John was pointing out, is that what the Republican Party has become?
John, I have to imagine the people he didn't call might be more interested than those that he actually did in this case. Donald Trump, selfless team player, said no one ever. John King, Gloria Warrior, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it. Up next, more of the airborne drama.
Might be more interested in what?
Failure.
And as John was pointing out, is that what the Republican Party has become?
John, I have to imagine the people he didn't call might be more interested than those that he actually did in this case. Donald Trump, selfless team player, said no one ever. John King, Gloria Warrior, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it. Up next, more of the airborne drama over the weekend. An engine failure, an engine on fire, debris falling from the sky. I'm going to speak with Captain Sully Sullenberger, who obviously knows a thing or two about an aircraft in distress.
How many views did I have on my broadcast crash? Let me look.
Whoa, it tastes just like watermelon.
Watermelon!
It's so good! So good! Watermelon!
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 Hint, water with a touch of true fruit flavor.
Daryl's family uses Gain Flame Snap, so their laundry smells more amazing than ever.
Isn't that the dog's towel?
Hey, me towel, suit towel. More Gain scent plus Oxy Boost and Febreze in every Gain Flame.
You've been very busy at home lately. It's time you got reacquainted with your massage routine. With Massage Envy, your safety is a top priority. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Want to build a gaming business that breaks the internet? That means working night and day and delegating to an experienced live bookkeeper for peace of mind. Your books are all set, so you can finally give John some attention.
Trusted experts, guaranteed accurate books. Intuit QuickBooks Live.
I knew that investing in financial assets was the way to financial freedom. Robinhood changed the game for everyone. It's simple to invest, it's simple to track your portfolio. You can literally start with $1. I invest in Robinhood like I invest in my game.
If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and a high risk for fracture, now might not be the best time to ask yourself, are my bones strong? Life's full of make or break moments. That's why it's so important to help reduce your risk of fracture with Prolia. Only Prolia is proven to help strengthen and protect bones from fracture with one shot every 6 months.
Do not take Prolia if you have low blood calcium, are pregnant, are allergic to it, or take Xgeva. Serious allergic reactions like low blood pressure, trouble breathing, throat tightness, face, lip or tongue swelling, rash, itching, or hives have happened. Tell your doctor about dental problems, as severe jawbone problems may happen, or new or unusual pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred. Speak to your doctor before stopping, skipping, or delaying Prolia, as spine and other bone fractures have occurred. Prolia can cause serious side effects, like low blood calcium, serious infections, which could need hospitalization, skin problems, and severe bone, joint, or muscle pain.
Don't wait for a break. Call your doctor today and ask about Prolia.
At Farmers, we know how nice it is to save on your auto policy, but it's even nicer knowing that if this happened, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS and get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Lincoln freed the slaves.
But it's more complicated than that. This election is an earthquake. In the South, it's a catastrophe.
Lincoln, Sunday night at 10.
Before they came to us, this is how many of our clients view digital advertising. Confusing and intimidating. After they come to see us, the noise and chaos goes away, replaced by understanding and a world of new growth opportunities. That's why people come to DMG. That's why digital marketing works for our clients. Call us. We'll show you how.
There's the old way of saving. Then there's the Credit Karma way. No fees ever. A great savings rate. And a chance to win $20,000 every month. Sorry, old way of saving. We just blew you away. Introducing Save with Credit Karma Money. Deposit just $1 now for a chance to win $20,000. Terms apply.
New developments in the United Airlines flight over the weekend where the engine of a 777 caught on fire before the pilots landed the plane safely back to the Denver airport where it took off. Here's what the right engine looked like. That's not what passengers or crew wanted to see when they look out the window. The engine cover was torn off and debris fell to the ground. Korean Air has just grounded all of its 777s with that same type of engine, and Boeing suggests the same for all airlines using the engine. Perspective now from someone with an expert's eye, retired airline pilot Captain Sully Sullenberger, who, of course, famously landed his damaged U.S. Air flight on New York City's Hudson River back in 2009. Captain Sullenberger, thanks so much for joining us. I want to play some of the Mayday call from the aircraft and get your thoughts, so let's listen.
328 Heavy, we experienced an engine failure. Need a turn. Mayday, Mayday, United 28. United 328 Heavy, Mayday, Mayday aircraft. 328 Heavy, say again, can you all that again? Yeah, United departure, United 328 Heavy, Mayday aircraft. Just experienced engine failure. Need a turn immediately.
So, Captain Sullenberger, what do you hear in that? What do you make of how the captain and crew handle the situation?
Well, they were doing what aviation professionals do. They were doing their job and doing it professionally. Let me tell you from personal experience, it's very, very rare to hear someone say Mayday, Mayday, Mayday on the radio. You know, years ago, I happened to hear an airport fire chief talk about an aircraft accident he had worked. And he said his advice to everybody in the profession is manage the situation or the situation will manage you. And clearly this crew is managing the situation.
So the investigation obviously ongoing, but from some of the video you have seen, the pictures of the debris, and the fact that now we are hearing about the ideas of fractures in the fan blades, what do you think happened?
Well, it's too early to tell for sure, and that's part of what the investigation will find out over many months. But from the photographs I've seen, at least one piece, probably from an engine, entered the right side of the airplane below the right wing. It seems to be an uncontained engine failure. As you probably know, engine failures in airliners are very rare, and uncontained failures are even more rare. In fact, on our famous flight that landed in the Hudson a number of years ago, I had been flying at that point for 42 years, 20,000 hours in the air, and even though we practiced for engine out procedures, I had never experienced the actual failure in flight of a single engine, not one time. So our technology is very reliable, but the fact that this happened, and we've had some similar accidents in the last several months and last several years, raise red flags that perhaps we don't have as good an understanding of these particular engines as we thought. And I'm sure they'll be reviewing the design, the inspection protocols, the technology that's used to look for microscopic defects, and the maintenance procedures and training that's been done. And they'll find the answers, and they'll correct whatever flaws that they find in the entire system.
So you know better than most what it's like to experience this kind of emergency. How much does a safe outcome depend on the training? How much depends on the type of person, the type of mindset and experience about the people in the cockpit?
Well, experience matters, and it often makes a difference between success and failure, life and death. But we all train intensely, so over many decades, we have to have obtained the skill, the knowledge, the experience, and the judgment to handle whatever happens, even if it's a novel event that we've never trained for. One of the other things that we have to develop over many years is to be able to calm ourselves when a sudden extreme crisis hits. There's a huge startle effect, and we'll be aware of it as it happens when our blood pressure and pulse spike. And sometimes our perceptual field will narrow and tunnel vision because of the stress. But we have to sum it up from within, the presence of mind and the mental discipline to compartmentalize our minds and focus clearly on the task at hand in spite of the stress. And that's something pilots are able to do and sum it up at a moment's notice to solve problems just like this. And of course, we have trained as crews to help and support and cross-check each other. And we also have protocols to follow that will help us solve these problems one at a time until we solve them all.
Captain Zellmerger, an honor to get your perspective. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Let's hand it over to Chris for Cuomo Primetime.
All right, thank you, John. I am Chris Cuomo, and welcome to Primetime. Question: what do we have more of than anywhere else? We have more of this in number than the populations of Miami, Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa, and it's not a secret. It is something that most of you have dealt with directly or close to it. The answer is we have more people who have died from COVID than anywhere else. Anywhere else. You likely know the shock of hearing that someone went from sick to gone in a flash. I've heard these stories every day for about a year, and not just on TV. This is not about TV for me. It has taken too much from people I care about. One of my close friends just lost her mother. Never would have happened without COVID. Just as we think things are getting better, it was the worst for her and her family. One of the sweetest, most caring people I know, now left with doubts and pain that I have echoing through my head from people all over this country. How did this happen? I couldn't help. I couldn't be there. And what do we say in those moments? Nothing, right? But what do? We pay attention. We show respect. We certainly know better than to ignore their pain, but then you look at what we've done all together, and that is what we've done, haven't we? 500,000 are gone, and many were not inevitable. These deaths came because of how we denied the reality in this country. The reality is we have more COVID deaths than we've had dead from both world wars and Vietnam combined. And remember, these people with COVID, they weren't willing participants in a cause. They were not aware of making the ultimate sacrifice. COVID is now right behind heart disease and cancer as the leading causes of death in our country. And again, it has gotten this bad because too many were in denial. And yes, because we had a president that played to that because he thought it worked for him, and so did his party. And yes, the media too. We haven't always played up the death count with the urgency that we did in the beginning. Why? Because it seemed to fall on deaf ears, me included, and it was wrong. But tonight, we do what is right. Do you know that we've never once stopped to honor the dead? We have never once come together as a nation to mourn, because we have never really wanted to own the reality, and that's what death is. It is the real. But tonight, that ends. It is time to say goodbye. It is time to own how horrible this has been and still is. And we have the right president to process this kind of pain.
The people we lost were extraordinary. We had to resist becoming numb to the sorrow.
We must end the politics and misinformation that's divided families, communities in the country. It's cost too many lives already. It's not Democrats and Republicans who are dying from the virus. It's our fellow Americans. It's our neighbors, our friends, our mothers, our fathers, our sons, our daughters, husbands, wives. We have to fight this together as one people, as the United States of America. That's the only way we're going to beat this virus, I promise you. That is the simple, soul-striking truth that this country needs. And that's all it is. We should all be sorry for the lost loved ones. We should all wish those families some measure of healing, and soon. And I think it's just part of the job that we do here to not let anyone forget how and why we got here. 1 year ago this week, then sitting President Trump told us COVID cases would go from 15 down to 0. He told us this would all magically disappear.
It's because he's a fucking liar.
We knew he was ignorant. And soon thereafter, we would confirm our suspicions that he was dead wrong. But we really never grasped that we were not just making ourselves sick, but that we were killing ourselves. And that president wasn't going to tell anyone any different. Like President Biden said tonight, misinformation has been a killer. And it has been a reality that was scripted to suit political interest. That's what's happening with January 6th. Be honest. Why were so many of you surprised by the ugly scenes presented at trial? Because so many on the right decided it was wrong to talk about it because it was bad for them, because it was bad for them. So you never heard the moralizing and the messaging you did all summer long about Black Lives Matter, right? Where was that interest? Where was that interest in violence? If they can't play it to advantage, they don't play it. Merrick Garland finally got a confirmation hearing today, more than 4 years after the one he was supposed to get for the Supreme Court, remember? Blocked by the GOPQ. He led the Justice Department investigation into the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. And I kept thinking to myself, how do I connect this for people? Because I remember the Oklahoma City bombing. And people were really spooked by that, much more than January 6th. He says the current threat from white supremacists is more dangerous. And then listen to what happens. The main Republicans who whipped up the white mob, Senators Cruz and Hawley, now want to talk about revenge politics. They question Merrick Garland, looking very concerned that someone might use power for bad reason.
That's fucking bullshit.
Am I right in assuming you do not view your role as Attorney General as being Joe Biden's wingman?
I'm not the president's lawyer. I am the United States lawyer.
I have to say I'm very concerned about the specter of political targeting because it's happened before.
Oh yeah, it's happened before. Where were you for Bill Barr? Where were you? You guys are legal experts and geniuses, clerks for the highest level. And only now you see it. Political payback? You mean like you guys running your mouths in a way that made people so angry that they came to find you on January 6th? Remember how you hid? Remember what got us here. 500,000 of us are dead because we chose to fight reality rather than face it. Tonight, we remember. This candlelight vigil at the White House will finally give some recognition to the unfathomable loss of so many loved ones all across this country. Tonight, they are seen. Their loss is observed. They matter. We can only hope that what happens tonight will allow some of us to be more cautious tomorrow. Let's bring in the better minds for a sense of our state of play. John Harwood and Michael Smerconish. Gentlemen, thank you for being with me on an important night. John, the relevance of stopping to say, look at all this death. Why hasn't it happened?
Well, we've seen with President Biden, he's demonstrated to the country what a difference the change of presidents has made. Joe Biden is a person who has suffered in his life and has empathy for those who have suffered. We see that in small ways. Over the weekend, he went to see Bob Dole, former Senate Republican leader, suffering advanced cancer, about to go through chemotherapy, served more than 20 years in the Senate with Joe Biden. Joe Biden went on an unannounced trip to see Bob Dole. Tonight, he held that candlelight ceremony, a moment of silence for 500,000 people who've lost their lives. President Trump had a completely different approach. He tried to downplay the pandemic because he thought it was going to hurt him politically. He was not comfortable in expressing empathy. So dramatic contrast in leadership styles from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is doing this on a week when this is the time for him to deliver on the huge COVID relief bill that he has made his top priority. So demonstrating the scale of the loss is something that underscores the argument that he's making for that $1.9 trillion bill to try to get past the pandemic, try to help people financially get by it, and hopefully restore some sense of normalcy to American life by the end of this year.
The scale of what, Michael, what Joe Biden has to face. We've never seen a president in our lifetime come in with more on their plate. He strikes the right tone. He understands pain, obviously, and he learned that lesson the worst way possible. But what does it mean in terms of his ability to get people to rally to his side on policy?
Well, no one does compassion better than he does, for all the reasons that both you and John have made reference to, twice at least having suffered really significant tragedy in his life. So when I watched him tonight on CNN, when he was expressing himself, I thought, here's a guy who's been there, who can really reach those folks. Whether it translates into, say, legislative achievement or speeding up the process by which we all get vaccinated, I really don't know. And Chris, to your opening thought as to how we become so inured to all of what's going on, you make me think of the image of the airplane hitting one of the Twin Towers, which the first maybe 100 times that we saw it was overwhelming, but we saw it so often that we became desensitized to it. I can't help but think that every time we see the death count and every time we see the number of cases, sooner or later it dulls our senses and it loses its sting. So to stand back on a night like tonight and say, my God, 500,000 Americans have lost their lives, I think is very appropriate and hopefully has meaning.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I really hope. Well, John, look, people don't care about families being destroyed enough to just put on a mask, enough to have the forbearance, then that just is a statement of where we are. In terms of where things are politically for Biden, he can't lose a single vote on anything. And we saw something that usually wouldn't be an issue, like staffing within his own side, Neera Tanden. I mean, it is a little bit of an indicator that it doesn't take much for the Democrats to break ranks.
That's right. And look, he has significant advantages. He is controlling the agenda as a new president with an approval rating in the mid to high 50s. So he's off to a good start, certainly more popular than Donald Trump was at any point in his presidency. He's got majorities in the House and Senate, but they're quite narrow. So he has to have a cohesive party. All the signs are that early, as Democrats try to make their new Democratic president successful, he does have that unity in the House. They plan to vote Friday or Saturday. He can only lose a handful of votes, but it appears that he can get that package through. In the Senate, he can't lose a single member without a Republican vote. There's no sign yet that any Republicans ready to sign on to this package, so he's got to hold all 50 Democrats. Despite the flaking of Joe Manchin on the nomination of Neera Tanden, there is no indication yet that Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, others who are the more ideologically moderate to conservative Democrats in the caucus, that they're going to turn against this bill and sink it. There's some controversy over the minimum wage. Both of them have reservations about that, but it appears likely, certainly the president has said so, that the Senate parliamentarian will strike the $15 minimum wage provision, which would take away the reason that they would have to oppose the package yet. It looks like he can get this through, but this is where you've got to deliver. You've got to deliver in the House this week, then it goes to the Senate, and we'll see if they can get it done.
Right. I mean, look, I have to believe that you're going to see problems in the House on that progressive wing. And yes, you may have a Senate parliamentarian bail them out on the minimum wage, but they're going to have problems. And that's going to be some challenge for Nancy Pelosi, but we don't have to get ahead of ourselves. Let's deal with the moment. Michael, Trump going to CPAC. I was very interested in your qualified statement here that you gave to the producer. If he's healthy, not indicted, and financially solvent, he could be the 2024 nominee. That is a real high bar you're setting there for the right. And I'm surprised you didn't list you say he's healthy. I guess that's the pulse test. But what does it mean that he is going to CPAC in an environment where Steve Scalise and many others still won't say that Biden legitimately won the election?
He's laying down a marker. I mean, he's going there, and he's going there very soon after having left office. I find it interesting that former Vice President Mike Pence apparently is not going. And I think he wants to go and draw a line in the sand and let everyone know that until such time as he says he's not the guy, he remains the nominee for 2024. Although, what a big development today with the fact that Cy Vance is going to get those tax returns and corresponding financial documents. Chris, I was thinking of something. I was thinking about the Clinton years, and the Clinton investigation began with a business dealing, Whitewater, ended with sex. In Trump's case, it begins with sex. It's probably going to end up with business dealings. It's the complete reverse. And I think you'd rather be Bill Clinton than Donald Trump, because Americans end up looking at the intern situation and saying, he lied about what? In the same way that the hush money payments to, I guess, a stripper and a playmate go in the same category. But look out now if it has spilled into business transactions and potentially bank fraud. Who knows?
Donald Trump was at the helm when a pandemic ravaged this.
Way that the business dealings. It's the complete reverse. And I think you'd rather be Bill Clinton than Donald Trump, because Americans end up looking at the intern situation and saying, he lied about what? In the same way that the hush money payments to, I guess, a stripper and a playmate go in the same category. But look out now if it has spilled into business transactions and potentially bank fraud. Who knows?
Donald Trump was at the helm when a pandemic ravaged this country because of his own desire to deny it and tap into the denial of the American people. And 500,000 people are dead. That is the end of any comparison of him and any president, let alone Clinton. But I take your point, and I appreciate it. John Harwood, Michael Smerconish, as always, value added. Now, our next guest says to win again, the GOP needs to move on from Trump, not embrace him. Remember, everything that Biden wants to get done, almost all of it, he needs buy-in from the right. So you can't just ignore what's happening.
Hello, thanks for
we
stopping
have
by.
One of the very few Republicans in Congress willing to stand for country over party, even if it makes him unwanted for the holidays in his own house. Adam Kinzinger is here to make the case. Next.
They are first to respond, first to put others' lives before their own. And in an emergency, they need a network that puts them first, that connects them to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. That's why AT&T built FirstNet with and for first responders, the emergency response network authorized by Congress. FirstNet, because putting them first is our job.
It's been a year, and Jackson Hewitt knows your job description may have changed a bit to say account manager, third grade teacher, senior vice dog walker, and all around mega mom. But one thing you don't need added to your description is tax preparer. Let the tax pros at Jackson Hewitt do it for you and fight for every dollar you deserve.
They're out there, working day and night to breach your data and take what's yours. Ransomware, botnet, zero-day attacks. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Or you could not think about it at all. This is autonomous cybersecurity. This is Sentinel-1.
It's happening more often, and it's not surprising. People are seeking out new places, trying new things, and discovering the best part is often hidden in the journey along the way. Find yourself in the Mazda CX-30. Want more power for your pursuit? Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive.
How great is it that we get to tell everybody how Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need? I mean, sorry. Oh, what? Move! No, buddy. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Hi, Grandpa!
What is this?
It's Sling Watch Party. You can invite people to watch live TV with you. They have on-demand stuff too, so we can watch. Sling Watch Party is live TV together from anywhere. Get the best of cable for the best price.
Your grooming business is booming. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/groomer.
If it's not featured anymore, I'm going to hang it up.
Vanguard. She's my home.
Nomadland is now nominated for 4 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
We're not all in a position to shop everything and hit the road.
Oh, you think that's what I
New sign over my office door when I got to work today. What did it say?
It is a lifestyle freedom. I think what Fern's doing is not that different than what the pioneers did.
Office of the Majority Leader. Cool.
Between dental visits is important. Waterpik Sonic Fusion allows you to brush and floss at the same time. Plus, it's clinically proven to be twice as effective as regular brushing and flossing. Keep your smile healthy. Learn more at waterpik.com.
The quarantine procedures instituted to protect us from any harmful life in the room and protect any piece of life that might exist from being destroyed by our
Apollo 11 Quarantine, March 6th on CNN. Watch it all go down.
Pretty much told her.
Lies, crimes, and video. Sundays at 9 on HLN.
You can't analyze the state of play in our government without looking at the right. And the big question is whether or not Republicans will resist anything that resembles success for a Biden administration in the name of Trump. He has a prime speaking slot at CPAC, right, which is the conservative stronghold. You got Republicans going to kiss that ring or something else at Mar-a-Lago. How do they move on without him? Very few are calling to do that, by the way. One of them is our next guest, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican, Illinois. Good to see you, sir.
You too, my man. How are you?
Let's discuss what you're just going to love, which is how hard a task you have. So first, we have a member of your leadership, Steve Scalise, who was on TV, asked a very simple question about the legitimacy of the election and said this. Nothing like silence. Am I supposed to do an impression of him? So Steve Scalise wouldn't answer the question about their
election was not stolen, correct? Look, Joe Biden's the president. There were a few states that did not follow their state laws. That's really the dispute that you've seen continue on. I asked you, is he the legitimate president of the United States, and do you concede that this election was not stolen? Very simple question, please. Just answer. Once the electors are counted, yes, he's the legitimate president. But if you're going to ignore the fact that there were states that did not follow their own state legislatively set laws, that's the issue at heart.
Now, here's the problem. That's not true, what he said. And I think he knows it's not true. It's hard to know because he lives in such a silo. You know, he's such a right fringe kind of inhabitant. But there is no state that didn't follow its law in a way that was unacceptable to that state's lawmaking process or its adjudication process through the courts. It's just not true. But if your leadership is saying that, that's a problem for you because your party agrees. Would you support if Trump formed a third party? 46% of your brothers and sisters say yes. 27% say I'll stay GOP. 27% say I don't know.
Hi,
Read all this.
Oh.
It's going to take time, and it's going to take actually speaking up and saying the truth. And so, with the whip's comments, I don't understand why we can't just say the very basic thing, which is Joe Biden's president. You see this chatter where everybody talks about, well, then you're disenfranchising the 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump. Look, he had 74 million people vote for him. Joe Biden had like 81 million people. So you're not being disenfranchised. You're actually being enfranchised. It's just more people voted the other way. That's what this whole thing is about. And that's where I get concerned is if you have concerns with how an election was run, okay, even though the federal government's job, I mean, if you think about when the system was set up before the days of Twitter, we just simply receive what a state sends us and we say, okay, good to go. That's our job. If there's a problem with how Pennsylvania runs its elections, that's for the people of Pennsylvania to deal with in the state legislature, not for us to come in and to implement our will. And so I don't understand why such a basic threshold. Look, we lost, okay? Donald Trump lost. And instead of complaining about that, we need to just figure out why and try to get more votes than the next person the next time.
But you also have to figure out why you're such a rare animal. I was talking about you this weekend, one of my favorite pastimes. And somebody was like, oh, Kinzinger, you just hate Trump. I said, is that why you voted with him 90% of the time? I said, the guy's a conservative Republican. That's what he is. You may like that, you may not like that. This is about that and part of character, integrity, and what you want to see in a leader. Your voting record is no Republican could really blink at it and say you're not, a real member of the party. But you got censured by your state party because you're not pure Trump enough. Your own family was chasing after you with 2 different letters about how, all the things that only family can say to one of their own about what a disappointment you are. Can you win in this party right now at home?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I'm going to try. And that's where, look, there's been basically Donald Trump has had, unmatched for 4 or 5 years, the megaphone. And now we need to have competing voices. I wish it was more than just me out there, but I'm going to continue to be as loud as I can. That's what the whole, I have to do the shameless plug, countryfirst.com is about with the one, is because it's about not propelling me, not putting me in a position. It's about saying the truly country first Republicans or independents that are country first, or even some Democrats saying, look, stand up and put the country before any single person. And I think, look, there's nobody in my party, I think, that really believes this is a long-term winning solution, but they're hoping, I think, in many cases, that somebody like me, or there is an organic movement away from Trump, and then they can say, gee, I was never with him the whole time. The problem is, in this era of media and everything, the tapes last.
True. And look, you do have the mandate issue on your side that, your party is folding itself over for Trump, who's never won a majority of any election he's been in. And that's an interesting bet that goes to the kind of changing demographics and where your party is on it. Does any of this give you pause? Not about being a Democrat, because you don't agree with them on most policy things, but of whether or not you're in the right business. You're a natural leader. Everyone who knows you says that. But do you think there is a space for you in the state of politics right now?
So I think that's what we're going to know in the next few years, honestly, is, where does this party go? What does that look like? What does it continue to say we're going to pledge allegiance to a man over a flag in some cases? Does it say, you know what, we're going to get back to the roots of what we believe and put it in the 21st century with updated technology? If that's the case, and I think that will be the case, but it's only going to happen when people are coming out and speaking the truth. I mean, look, Chris, in my district, I got 65% of the vote. Donald Trump got 56% of the vote. If you think the Donald Trump thing in the long term is going to be the winning coalition and not somebody like me that's conservative, but doesn't offend people and doesn't go out and attack and say that you owe me everything and doesn't incite insurrections, There will be a minority party forever, but I don't know what that looks like. All I know is I can rest with real peace, knowing that I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get a normal functioning Republican Party that needs to be part of this.
And in fairness, you didn't get brought into office because Trump said so. He was not a fan of yours for some time because of your lack of fealty. We haven't heard of the party making a move on you unless there's something you want to let us know in terms of not wanting you on committees or anything like that. So that's a good indication. Have you been able to mollify any of your family members?
So look, the vast majority of my family, even if they disagree with me, they're good family members. These are my dad's cousins. And quite honestly, the letter that came out, I didn't even release that. She had sent that to so many people out of so much anger, just can't help herself. And it went out. And I'm glad the letter came out because I think that people need to see, if you haven't experienced that division in your family, this is the best example of it. And so look, I hold nothing against them. I mean, maybe someday I'll have to look back and do some more forgiveness. in my heart,
I
but
can't pay
I don't feel
attention
it right.
to anything, it seems. Let's go back.
In terms of not get
I can rest with real peace, knowing that I'm going to fight as hard as I can. Attack the Donald case. You know what? And the
natural graphics party
in this era, real country first. CountryFirst.com is about what the one is, because it's about not propelling me, not putting me in a position. It's about saying to truly country first Republicans or independents that are country first, or even some Democrats, saying, look, stand up and put the country before any single person. And I think, look, there's nobody in my party that feels loud. I was like,
I paused you guys for a second to look at this. The Nevada caucuses were a year ago today. Bernie Sanders won. Let me see. Let me see if, why am I watching a medical webinar at 2:37 a.m. a year ago? Because I'm fed up. Coffee and RX Barna leave at 12:46 a.m. a year ago.
Why would you have that much caffeine at almost 1 in the morning? I usually don't, but I thought I needed it, then was up till 5 or 6 a.m. Caffeine or emotional? See other post, both. Yeah, and then I was up till 5 or 6 a.m. If I hit my head against the wall, I would end up with the same headache with much less effort. Yeah, that's still true. Let's share that. Where am I sharing that? I'm sharing that to my page also. Harvard Journal, #2 on Facebook. Ladies Free Skate starts in 1 hour on NBCSN a year. Wait, that was in 2018. Olympic ice. That was from the Olympics 3 years ago. Wait, 3 years ago would be 4 days different. So Wednesday, February 22nd. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Thursday, February 22nd. What else? How many more are there? 3 years ago, shaking, stress. I have no stress in my life. Adrenal ? Woke up after only 5 hours and 15 minutes sleep, coffee and allergy meds. Snow, ice, cold outside, but 72 inside and wearing hooded sweatshirt and gloves. Going to check my blood pressure and pulse. And what does that story say? Oh my God. All right, let me see. 3 years ago, my sister, who no longer speaks to me, sent me a Valentine's Day gift. I'm going to share it to my page. And my story. This type of story can't be shared on Instagram. Share to your page's story. Share to a page. Okay, what else do we have there? Let's see. How far down does this thing go? Is that the last one? How many more? Pay the farmer or pay the doctor. Cheap food is an illusion. There's no such thing as cheap food. The real cost of food is paid somewhere, and if it isn't paid at the cash register, it's charged to the environment or to the public purse in the form of subsidies. And it's charged to your health. Michael Pollan. Share. I'm putting that on my news feed. I'm putting that, where else do I want to share it? To my page. All right. And then what else did we say? How many more are there? And how long till I lose the delay on this feed? All right. 3 years ago, during the Olympics, I like seeing it snow outside my window. I'm tired of all the crap, and I'm trying to stay away from negative people, places, things. 3, yes, I know I sound like a fortune cookie or a 12-step lesson. 4, it can be hard to believe I deserve to take care of myself, not only due to disability issues, but because the people who should have taken care of me, not only when I was growing up, didn't. And many of our current elected officials seem to think only the rich and powerful have value. Not net worth versus inherent worth. Inherent worth, la vie en neige, which means life in snow. I'm sharing that one too. And people are going to be like, gosh, Marilyn, you're sharing everything you ever posted in your entire life. No, just things I posted from February 22nd. 4 years ago. How many more are there? 4 years ago. 2017. Saw 7 shorts that were not that short. It did not inspire me, so I am watching Imposters on Bravo at 12:30 a.m. I like that show, Imposters. When is February ever in Portland as of February 21st? 4 years ago. Are we having fun yet? I think I need pizza. 5 years ago. What? A reply I wrote that I am also posting as a status from 5 years ago. I'm not feeling well. But since my aunt brought up the subject, I have a few things to say. How much of this feed is left? Like 2 minutes. Part of my severe depression comes from not feeling valued by my father and brother and other people who have rejected me. Oh, those are in the days when my sister used to still speak to me. There were also issues with my mother, but we always knew that she loved us. There is an intergenerational problem in my family that involves both abuse, physical, emotional, and alcoholism. My father's father. The fact that my father, what day did I write that? The fact that my father was not a good father is not the whole story. He was a good doctor who cared about his patients. I always wondered why he could be so nice to them, but not to my mother or to the kids in my family. And why was golf more important than his children or my mother? He was buried with one of his golf clubs. I didn't remember that. Okay, they were apparently more important than his grandchildren were, 3 of whom he did not see or talk to in many years. The funeral was a show for his friends and his wife's friends, one I chose not to disrupt. But that was a choice I made. Did his wife even realize that one of the kids who was there was not one of the grandchildren? In looking at the whole picture, I've come to understand that my father was affected by growing up with an alcoholic father. Maybe if my father had gotten proper counseling, he could have gotten past that and been a good father instead of remaining a damaged adult who had little to give to his own children. Gosh, I don't even remember writing this. It's pretty good. I had a phone relationship with him. My sister had no relationship with him. And if my sister and her husband, wait, I lost what I was reading. And if my sister and her husband who helped me with some things a father should. Oh, it is my sister. And her husband helped me with some things a father should. I always knew one day my father would need my help, and I would either choose to walk away or do what I could to help. I did what I could to help, but I never got what I needed. I needed to have a father who made me feel special and valued and important in the world, but I never had that. I went to 12-step lectures and groups for many years to learn how to deal with some of the issues in my family and get some of the tools I was not given, but I still struggle with self-esteem today. My mother could not give her children something she did not have, self-esteem. Maybe if she had lived longer, she could have addressed some of her issues. My father lived 32 more years, but never seemed to address any of his issues other than at some point he did stop being violent. I am trying to break this pattern in my own life, which is partly how I ended up at this age with no husband and no children, as I did not want to continue the pattern of abuse by having children before I was able to address it in my own life. So now I'm alone, and it is very lonely. My father's death was just one more loss for me, including the loss of the possibility of ever having the type of parent I wanted, but never had. Also, since my aunt and her family are some of the only people who did not walk out of my life, she can voice any opinion she wants to, and I just lost what I was reading again. And I don't even know if anyone's listening, so I'm just going to share this on my social media. She can voice any opinion she wants to, regardless of whether I always agree with her or not. It is hard to feel good about yourself when your own father does not treat you like you are special and should be helped and protected, as in no one is going to hurt my daughter. I understand that maybe he was incapable of doing so. That is the sad part. It is such a shame, but then there's this other question. Why was he able to be there for my other sister and my brother more than for me? And why did he exclude my other sister altogether? I may be the black sheep of my family who publicly talks about these issues, but one of my sisters was treated as a third-class citizen of my family while I was treated as second class. It sucks. And part of the loss I deal with is the loss of possessions. I wonder what of mine or my mother's is still in that house. Well, nothing now. I know I have to walk away. I did years ago, but it's a hard thing to do. I was not even allowed to go over to the house I grew up in, and the last time I visited while he was still alive. He tried to take me over there, but his wife would not allow it. This stress is not good for my health. It is making my head throb even more. I do think that writing about things is one way to process them. I should also mention that one of my teachers and her husband have also helped with what should have been my father's role to help with. And my sister's husband has said he would do whatever he could to help me. Yeah, until he stopped talking to me too. I really appreciate that. 2 comments. What are the 2 comments? I agree that your depression comes from not feeling valued by your father and brother. My point, however, is that my aunt said that your father was not a person whose opinion you should value. He was a selfish and abusive person who valued no one but himself. I can't speak for your brother as I don't know him as an adult.
First.com is about with the one is because it's about not
but it seems that the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Not putting me in a position. It's about saying the truly country first Republicans or independents that are country first, or even some Democrats saying, look, stand up and put the country before any single person. And I think, look, there's nobody in my party, I think, that really believes this is a long-term winning solution, but they're hoping, I think in many cases, that somebody like me, or there is an organic movement away from Trump, and then they can say, gee, I was never with him the whole time. The problem is in this era of media and everything, the tapes last.
True. And look, you do have the mandate issue on your side that, your party is folding itself over for Trump, who's never won a majority of any election he's been in. And that's an interesting bet that goes to the kind of changing demographics and where your party is on it. Does any of this give you pause? Not about being a Democrat, because you don't agree with them on most policy things, but of whether or not you're in the right business. You're a natural leader. Everyone who knows you says that. But do you think there is a space for you in the state of politics right now?
So I think that's what we're going to know in the next few years, honestly, is, where does this party go? What does that look like? What does it continue to say we're going to pledge allegiance to a man over a flag in some cases? Does it say, you know what, we're going to get back to the roots of what we believe and put it in 21st century with updated technology? If that's the case, and I think that will be the case, but it's only going to happen when people are coming out and speaking the truth. I mean, look, Chris, in my district, I got 65% of the vote. Donald Trump got 56% of the vote. If you think the Donald Trump thing in the long term is going to be the winning coalition and not somebody like me that's conservative, that doesn't offend people and doesn't go out and attack and say that you owe me everything and doesn't incite insurrections, then we'll be a minority party forever. But I don't know what that looks like. All I know is I can rest with real peace, knowing that I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get a normal functioning Republican Party that needs to be part of this.
And in fairness, you didn't get brought into office because Trump said so. He was not a fan of yours for some time because of your lack of fealty. We haven't heard of the party making a move on you unless there's something you want to let us know in terms of not wanting you on committees or anything like that. So that's a good indication. Have you been able to mollify any of your family members?
So look, the vast majority of my family, even if they disagree with me, they're good family members. These are my dad's cousins. And quite honestly, the letter that came out, I didn't even release that. She had sent that to so many people out of so much anger, just can't help herself. And it went out. And I'm glad the letter came out, because I think that people need to see, if you haven't experienced that division in your family, this is the best example of it. And so look, I hold nothing against them. I mean, maybe someday I'll have to look back and do some more forgiveness in my heart, but I don't feel it right now. I just have no desire really to reach out and repair it. That's up to them.
Or you put a vowel on the end of your name, and you know exactly how mad you are at them right now. Maybe this is an upside to not having more of an ethnic swing to you. Congressman Kinzinger, look, I do not mean to give you a hard time about your challenge. I think that it is really refreshing to have somebody who just wants to do what they think is right policy-wise and personally in terms of the values. It's just not a very helpful climate for you. That's why I consider it a pleasure to have you on the show to make the case.
You bet. Anytime.
Well, be well. It's true. I know you guys are going to come at me and say, hey, we need more guys like him. Maybe, maybe not, depending on your politics, but it is refreshing. And now we're seeing the opposite. Trump is going back to CPAC. That organization, back in the day, would have really had no part of someone like him, but things have changed. Why is he a good bet for them? Again, he lost re-election by more than 7 million votes. The most votes we've ever seen someone get was his opponent. He lost the House, lost the Senate. Why is he the one that conservatives turn to for inspiration? That is a question for the man behind CPAC on the choice to keep the MAGA movement going. Matt Schlapp, next.
Dana-Farber Cancer Institute.
Discover the PDL1 pathway.
PDL1.
They change how the world fights cancer.
Blocking the PDL1 protein.
Lets the immune system attack cancer.
PDL1 transforms.
Revolutionize.
Immunotherapy.
PDL1 saved my life. Saved my life.
Saved my life.
What we do here at Dana-Farber changes lives.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
The moment Proactive started working,
There's no bumps.
Big swagger.
no,
Your skin's in a good mood.
you get that clean skin feeling.
Get that clear skin confidence with our 3 skincare systems. They've got clinically proven ingredients to clear skin, and they're dermatologist tested to be gentle. Proactive Solution works great for most skin types. Proactive Plus is effective yet gentle enough for sensitive skin. Then there's Proactive MD for that stubborn hack.
Confidence is everything.
Subscribe today risk-free at proactive.com and get that clear skin confidence delivered right to your door.
Question. Is life giving you a few too many lemons? Maybe your glass is feeling a little half empty, or you're just not quite together. Hey, give you and your mind a break and meditate with Headspace. Start feeling better in minutes with friendly experts to help make it happen. So you can discover a happier, less stressed you anytime, no matter how many lemons you get. Headspace is meditation made simple. Try it now for free.
You've been very busy at home lately. It's time you got reacquainted with your massage routine. Massage Envy massages will leave you recharged. Join now and get a free 60-minute massage session. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
IHOP has new breakfast burritos and bowls with 6 tasty options starting at $5.99, and you get them to go. Do you need a burrito? Yeah, I need it now. It is hot.
New burritos and bowls starting at $5.99 at IHOP.
Allergies don't have to be scary. Spraying Flonase daily stops your body from overreacting to allergens all season long. You're good.
TracFone Wireless gives you more control. Just swap your SIM card. You can also keep your phone, keep your network, keep your number. $20 a month, no contract. Don't keep that case though. This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control.
That is delicious. It just melts in your mouth. Wow.
Skin 78 comments. I'm not reading 78 comments.
At QVC, we know shopping because we're shoppers too.
We know the joy of making an old family recipe with brand new cookware.
We know it's the little things that make a house a home.
And we know what it's like to budget. It's why we started Easy Pay, so you can enjoy what you want now and pay over time with 0% interest.
We created QVC for shoppers like us. And like you. QVC, by shoppers, for shoppers.
Keep your cool and get heat for half off. Huh. Sounds a bit confusing, so here's an easy explanation. For a limited time, A-Temp will give you 50% off the price of a new furnace with installation when you purchase and install a new cooling system for your home. Enjoy year-round comfort and save a bundle in the process. It's a great deal, but only available for a limited time. For more than 50 years, your #1 source for home comfort, A-Temp Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
I'm Phil Mattingly at the White House, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by TheraWorks Relief. Prevent and relieve muscle cramps.
If you're suffering from muscle cramps or muscle spasms, you need to try TheraWorks Relief. I have patients tell me every day that TheraWorks Relief works.
Get TheraWorks Relief today in stores everywhere.
Trump's going to make his first presidential appearance this weekend at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando, CPAC. The same time, his former VP Mike Pence declined a chance to speak, supposedly because the former president and VP are supposed to stay quiet after the inauguration. That's why he says he's not going. Let's talk about who is going. Let's bring in the chairman of CPAC, Matt Schlapp. Good to see you, Matt. Why is this the right move for CPAC to give Trump the platform which somewhat presents him as a future prospect?
Well, I mean, the reason why it's right for President Trump to be at CPAC is because he just spent 4 years enacting the most conservative policy we've ever seen from any president, certainly any Republican president. And 73 million Americans voted for him. They thought the policies helped make America strong. We weren't apologizing overseas. The forgotten men and women had great economic prospects. And, you know, he simply did what he said he was going to do. So why not have him speak? It seems to me that it makes perfect sense that he would come back and talk to his followers and faithful and talk about what's going to happen in the future.
Because it makes CPAC tacitly endorsing his election farce.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Well, he lied about the election being a fraud, and you having him there and giving him a platform seems to be your acknowledgement of the same. If you have him on the platform, then you're saying,
so
yeah,
we're
we like
going
what he
to
says.
spend. I'd love you to look at our agenda. We're actually going to spend a lot of time going through what happened in these states. You said several things in the previous interview that simply aren't true. You said that these states were simply following state law. I was in the state of Nevada. That's simply not true.
I didn't.
Clark County,
I didn't say
Clark County was not following state
I didn't
law.
say that. What I said was.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you. What I said was, it is not true that any state decided that it was doing something wrong, and states get to decide, and it was adjudicated. You just don't like that you lost in the state. You don't like that the Supreme Court refused to see any merit to your claims. You don't like that when you say people voted in places where they didn't live, the numbers were lower than you suggested and were found unimpressive to the court. You don't like those things, but those things are true.
I don't like those things, but it's still very important that we go back to the idea of legal voting, and people should be legally registered to vote in order to vote. That people, I don't think it's very controversial to say that people should vote one time, and when you're in the midst of a pandemic,
but you don't have a significant number of people who voted more than once.
Be able to vote in 2 states.
It's not conceptual.
That's not true.
It's not conceptual, though, Matt. I hear what you're saying. I've heard you say it a lot.
Just because you win,
I'm just saying it's just not true.
Well, you had me on the show, and you're telling me that saying that there was widespread illegal voting is false, and I'm trying to explain to you that, for instance, what they did in the state of Georgia, when they had an illegal consent decree to mind you, not verify the signatures of mail-in ballots, which is what they also did in Clark County, essentially. That means that you have no security on the ballot that was mailed out without unsolicited vast mail-in ballots. They were returned with no security. You can't have an election in another country that the State Department would accept these types of ground rules. So we got to go back to voting in a legal and orderly manner.
But Matt, you're making a straw man argument. It's a boogeyman argument. There is no proof of rampant fraud. Nobody's
Then why
saying the
did
process is perfect. You lost. And
Let me ask you this
now
question.
you're going
Why-
to keep that
how
going.
come-
Steve Scalise the other day on TV, you guys really want the conservative movement to be made on the back of a lie about the election?
Let me just go through a couple things you just said. Sure. Joe Biden is my president. Okay, he won the election.
Good.
That doesn't mean that there wasn't voter fraud and voter irregularity in the last election. You know, there's a Republican who went to jail for voter fraud in North Carolina.
Right.
It can't just be Republicans that commit voter fraud. When voter fraud occurs, no matter who
No, but
commits
you
it,
need to
it
have
should
proof,
be fully
Matt.
prosecuted. And
You have to have proof that it would
we
have
have
changed the
thousands.
outcome.
We have it.
You don't
We
have it.
it, but you're right. You're right. We do have it.
You
I'd love to
can't
sit down
have
and-
it
would
because
sit
you
down
had
and go through it
chances
with
to
me?
produce it. You had
Would
chances
sit
to
down?
produce it. Matt,
Would
no.
you sit down
No,
and go
because you
through
had
the
your
evidence
chance
with
at
me?
this.
You won't do it.
Matt, you had your
You
chance.
never. Nobody.
Matt, why do you ignore
Chris,
that
let me
dozens of
just try-
lawsuits failed on
Let
it?
me.
Why ignore it?
You're right. They did fail, but guess what? You know this. You're a good lawyer. Just because you fail in court doesn't mean you don't have a good case. It means you lost in court. And the fact remains that you can say it wasn't enough voter fraud. I don't think any voter fraud is acceptable. I actually think we should try to get rid of all of it. You should never be able to mail. You should never be able to vote through the mail in this country without somebody on the other side making sure it was you and making sure that you're a legally registered voter.
Georgia state
You
officials.
must agree with that.
Georgia
Chris, do you agree with what I just said?
I
You must agree with that.
I agree with the premise. I don't agree with the proposition of what happened. There is no proof that there was a problem based on your suspicion. Georgia said there
I'll
was
sit
no
down and
fraud.
show you the proof. Would you sit
Georgia
down with
says
me
there was no
and go through the
fraud,
proof?
and these are your people.
That's not right.
They are Republicans.
That's not right. No,
it is right.
No,
They
you're
said
not right.
No, I am right.
Nobody ever said there was no. Nobody ever said there was no fraud in Georgia. What they actually
The Georgia
said was
officials said
that they were
exactly
going
that.
to not check the signatures on the mailed-in ballots. And if
You
don't
heard
check the
Georgia
signatures on
state
the mailed-in
officials.
ballots, you
You
can't
heard
know
Georgia-
if that's a legal ballot.
Matt,
And you
come
can't
on.
run a democracy that way.
Matt, listen. If you want to make things better, make them better. I'm just telling you, these arguments are making things
I
worse.
do that every day, my friend.
These are your
I do that every day. I
officials
think
in
having-
Georgia from your party who said there was no fraud here. Stop saying it. You're going to get us hurt. And then you did.
Chris, there was widespread voter fraud in the last election. In a bipartisan sense, Democrats and Republicans should agree on a couple things. You should be a registered voter to vote. Certainly, if you're in a registration state, you should only vote once. And if you vote by mail, somebody at that election office should have to verify that signature according to the state statute. That did not happen in the state of Nevada, and that did not happen in Georgia, and that did not happen
And
in
if you are
Philadelphia.
going to
You can say it's
qualify-
fine.
If
I
you're-
say let's never have an election like that ever again.
And if you're going to look, nobody should argue against improvements. What I'm saying is very simple, and you know this. What Trump
Very
did,
good. Very good.
What Trump did was, well, first of all, these same issues came up 4 years ago. You guys had a deaf ear. You said the Democrats were sore losers, and they didn't respect the process, and they were undermining democracy. So let's not get on a
And you
soapbox
spent
too
4
fast.
years saying
What I'm-
there was Russian collusion and that there was not, that the election should be questioned. And Hillary Clinton said
Not only-
Joe Biden, he should
not
never
only-
ever concede. And this
Not
is like
only-
this is like hypocrisy.
Hold on,
like
hold
I've
on.
never
No, it's
seen.
not. Here's why. Not only did I say there was collusion, I will say it now that there was collusion. Collusion is not a crime. It's a behavior. And Trump's people did what they do best. They did dumb things for bad reasons. But look, you made your arguments. I gave you your time. We'll look and see what happens at CPAC.
Bob Mueller
You're welcome
found
on the show.
found no collusion, my friend.
He did not find no
found no
collusion.
collusion,
Collusion
sorry.
is not a crime. He wasn't even
He
looking
found no
at it as
collusion.
such. Learn to read, my brother. It's
He
right in the
said there
details.
was
I gotta
there was
go.
nothing inappropriate with Russia
He-
in the 2016
He
election.
never said
Good
that.
to see you, my friend.
Never said it. Good to see you.
He did.
I'm glad to offer
Yes,
the
he did.
platform. Let the people decide. Matt Schlapp, CPAC. Let's see what Trump says when he goes there. And look, he's going to have trouble. Not with CPAC. They have nobody better. They have nobody that they believe in more. That's on them. He has trouble that has nothing to do with them. Legal peril. The Supreme Court rejected his bid to keep his taxes from a New York prosecutor. That doesn't mean that we're all going to get to peruse the former president's taxes. Know that. But his niece says she has a case against him and she knows him. And she knows why, or she believes why, he is so worried about this and that it's something we have to take note of. And she also has a guess as to what happens next. Let's discuss.
This is how you become the best. Try to be best, 'cause you're only a man in the midst of a woman. Try to believe that the boat gets wrong, but you gotta hand up to me.
Don't get mad, get E-Trade and take charge of your finances today. Want to get back to you again? Make it easy on yourself with delicious, nutritious Slim Fast and shed those newfound pounds. How? However you want. With our clinically proven plan, choose from keto, advanced, or original. Use our app. Make it easy. Grab a friend. Make it fun. Let's Slim Fast together. Control your hunger. Control your day. Take your life back. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight and keep it off. Text Feed Me to 44123. Download the app and start today.
Parents, meet Go Henry, designed to teach kids money skills for life. It's the debit card connected to a smart app, loaded with budgeting tools and complete with parental control. 92% of parents said their children are more money confident since using Go Henry. You set them chores and allowances, they start earning. They spend, you get notified. If they set goals and start building savings habits. Plus, they get to customize their cards. Go Henry. Tools to get your kids money confidence and make your life easier along the way. Get started now. Dream, 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 dream,
Sleep soundly tonight with peace of mind from the brand that more families trust for quality and timeless protection. ADT, real protection.
Jackson Hewitt knows your job description may have changed this year to say account manager, third grade teacher, and senior vice dog walker. Don't add tax preparer. Let Jackson Hewitt do it for you so you can be certain your taxes are done right, guaranteed.
IHOP has new breakfast burritos and bowls with 6 tasty options starting at $5.99, and you can get them to go. Do you need a burrito? Yeah, I mean, it is hot.
New burritos and bowls starting at $5.99 at IHOP.
Lincoln, Sundays at 10.
Many of us have herpes, and managing outbreaks can be stressful. Between late night searches, finding an appointment, and waiting in line at the pharmacy, it's become a huge pain. Meet Nurex, the easiest way to manage herpes. After an online medical consultation, Nurex will ship your medication for free in discreet packaging. Nurex is available with or without health insurance. And you'll have a year of unlimited access to the Nurex medical team. Take charge of your outbreaks from home with Nurex. Go to Nurex.com to get started.
At Gentle John Smoothing and Storage, we believe every moving truck is full of memories, hopes, and dreams. And that's how my dad approaches everything we do, from our trucks and equipment to employing the best movers in Oregon, because we know these Oregon roads. With experience in over 100,000 moves, from Beaverton to Happy Valley, Eugene to Bend, and everywhere in between. And now we're ready to help make your next move the best you've ever made. Gentle John Smoothing and Storage, for the perfect move within your budget.
The Supreme Court decided today to allow former President Trump's tax returns into the hands of a New York prosecutor. Now, that may place Trump and his businesses a step closer to legal jeopardy, because a big part of the theory is that they're looking to see if he played games with assets versus liabilities, meaning it meant one thing when he was trying to borrow money against it and another thing when he had to pay taxes on it. So that can be a dangerous game. Trump, after all, has gone to extraordinary lengths to keep his financial records hidden. This is a grand jury investigation, okay? They will soon have access to documents spanning from January 2011 to August 2019, including tax returns that come from his accounting firm. They relate to the Trump Organization's employment of his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, and those hush money payments that Cohen allegedly made to two women on behalf of Trump. It's really not an allegation. He made the payment. Meantime, Trump faces nearly a dozen investigations and lawsuits across several states, including one from his own niece, Mary Trump, who has since been revealed as the source for the New York Times expose on Trump's taxes. She's also the author, of course, of Too Much and Never Enough. Mary Trump, welcome back to Primetime.
Great to be here. Thanks, Chris.
Why doesn't he want people, let alone prosecutors, to see his taxes?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. It's hard to know which is more important to him, but probably the most important one is that he's never actually made any money. And every penny Donald has was really my grandfather's initially. Secondly, he's going to be shown to have been somebody who gave zero to charitable causes. And for our purposes, the most important one, of course, is that he has most likely been committing tax fraud for decades. So it's a huge victory, I think, for the Supreme Court to have cleared the way for New York State to get access to Donald's tax returns, because it's a long time coming. He should have, faced accountability a long time ago. And as we learned from your previous guest, the Republican Party is going to do absolutely nothing to contain Donald, and they're just going to allow him to continue to be the head of their increasingly anti-democratic party that's perfectly comfortable engaging in counter-majoritarian tactics to stay in power illegitimately.
Well, look, politically, his party has a problem with perception versus reality. In politics, perception can be reality, and that's what they're hoping when it comes to the election fraud. All I can do is present the facts. And to be honest with you, that's an easy conversation. I'm sure everybody will look at it through a partisan lens, but there are no good arguments there. They're easy to bat down. I could do that and my taxes at the same time. But this is different now. When the taxes come out, the perception of a prosecutor can be reality if there's proof. The counter, Mary, is, but he says he gets audited all the time. Wouldn't they have caught him already if he had done bad things with his taxes?
Well, first of all, there's no reason to believe that he actually has been under audit for the last, what has he been saying that for, a decade?
Forever, yeah. He says, I'm always under audit because I'm a strong Christian, he said.
Sure. But that aside, it doesn't matter what he says because the IRS knows the truth. And pretty soon, the New York, Cy Vance and Letitia James in New York are going to have access to those documents that show what is the case. And as we've known since 2018, thanks to that extraordinary New York Times article by Suzanne Craig and Russ Buettner, Donald has been playing fast and loose with the truth regarding his finances for decades. And it's about time the American people have access to exactly what has been going on and what most likely has continued going on, because let's face it, this is a very long-standing pattern.
Does your lawsuit stand where in terms of its process?
We're still at the pretty beginning stages of it. We have a hurdle of statutes of limitations to get over. So once hopefully that gets cleared, it will be full speed ahead. But the good thing is, it's not just my lawsuit. It's not just Cy Vance, not just Letitia James. My lawyer, Robert Kaplan, has two other lawsuits going on. We have potentially an investigation in Georgia looking into voter fraud. And I know that doesn't have to do with the finances, but what we've learned is that Donald has a tendency to get away with things. So the more we pile on, the more avenues of investigation there are, the more likely it is that we're finally maybe going to get some justice.
What is your sense of how your uncle deals with having so many irons in the fire against him?
He probably doesn't think about it very much, honestly. I think at the moment, he's probably focused on CPAC. He's probably looking at that as his way to get back into the conversation. And let's be clear, CPAC, his speech at CPAC is going to be an endless list of grievances about how the election was stolen from him, how the election was stolen from his voters. And regardless of what other Republicans may or may not say, they're going to be enabling that extraordinarily dangerous rhetoric. So, it's unfortunate that that's being allowed to happen, but it also increases the urgency of these state level cases and these lawsuits going through.
I mean, look, he's the best game in town for CPAC, and he's never made the kind of money from anything as quickly as he has from his complaints about the election. They've raised $250 million in 8 weeks based on election lies. So this is profitable for him as well. And it leads to the legacy effect. You're the branch of the family that doesn't like him. But there is this idea of that he will be able to appoint who comes next, even if that means it's one of his daughters-in-law, Lara Trump, is trying to extend the brand. Here's what she says.
He has told us to stay tuned, that this is not over for him. And he has indicated that he probably would be interested in running again in 2024. Look, he is the head of the Republican Party. He is really the person that everyone will continue to turn to in order to help them get across the line, whether we're talking about 2022 or beyond, I think.
So she wants to get in the game. You had said that you didn't think he'd want to run again. And look, he has to say he might because it makes him marketable. But where do you think the truth lies?
Well, it's not that he wouldn't run again. It's that he has no intention of actually going all the way because he won't risk losing. But he will pretend to run for sure because, as you said, it's incredibly lucrative for him. And the truth of the matter, though, is that if indeed he continues to be the head of the Republican Party, what we need to do is what you alluded to in the last segment. We need to make it clear that what the Republican Party stands for is the big lie. And let's not forget, even more importantly, they seem to be perfectly comfortable with the fact that this man incited an armed insurrection against our country, and the Republicans have no problem with that. That needs to be a permanent stain on any Republican's reputation that continues to enable this extraordinarily dangerous rhetoric.
It'll certainly be a matter of fact. Mary Trump, thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Retirement income is complicated. As your broker, I've solved it.
That's great, Carl. But we need something better. And we can honor.
See that we're on track.
Like Schwab Intelligent Income.
Introducing Schwab Intelligent Income, a simple, modern way to pay yourself in your portfolio.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we don't have that.
Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
Keeping your smile healthy between dental visits is important. Waterpik Sonic Fusion allows you to brush and floss at the same time. Plus, it's clinically proven to be twice as effective as regular brushing and flossing. Keep your smile healthy. Learn more at waterpik.com.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from a resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/home.
They're out there, working day and night to breach your data and take what's yours. Ransomware, but zero-day attacks. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Or you could not think about it at all. This is autonomous cybersecurity. This is SentinelOne.
When you drive this season, you save the cost. The future of auto insurance is here. You've never been better ahead of us. Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
Applebee's $1 boneless wings with any handcrafted burger.
You've been very busy at home lately. It's time you got reacquainted with your massage routine. With Massage Envy, your safety is a top priority. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Now for that laugh, it's delicious.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just melted in your mouth.
Wow. So good.
Just about everywhere you turn, there's something incredible to see. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful.
Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy, Sundays at 9.
Oh, you think this is just a community center? No, it's way more than that. Because when you look our community up with the internet, boom, look at Ariana crushing virtual class, Jamal chasing that college dream, Michael doing something crazy. This is the place where we can show the world what we can do.
Comcast is partnering with 1,000 community centers to create Wi-Fi-enabled lift zones, so students from low-income families can get the tools they need to be ready for anything.
Oh, we're ready.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan, and when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it. Call 1-800-860-4881 for a free no-obligation quote.
Divided we stand. Sundays at 10.
Tonight, we finally do the right thing. Please be sure to watch the CNN special, We Remember 500,000, a national memorial service for COVID-19. Tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern. Right now, The Big Show. CNN Tonight, Big Star, D. Lemon.
Can you believe after a year? I mean, I remember when you got it, and we were frightened. We didn't know what would happen, and that was in the early stages. And then we thought 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30, 100,000. We thought that was a lot then, and look where we are now. We're at 500,000 people.
And who knows where it goes? And it's really important, kind of like January 6th and the shock that people had during the trial of the scenes. Yeah, it's because nobody talks about it. Mm-hmm. And that's about political interest. And it was the same thing here, brother, and everybody knows it. What did Trump want people to believe about me? That I wasn't sick, that I didn't have it. What did you hear from the righty fringe? Oh, I don't know that he was sick. Oh, I heard this, I heard that. Why? Why would that be relevant? The denial of the reality was the game for him.
Yeah.
And it not only made us sick, it literally killed so many people that it didn't have to be. These were not inevitable deaths, Don.
Well, what's interesting to me is that the former president had a year to try to get this under control. And he downplayed it and lied about it and tried to pretend it was going to go away and held super spreader events and tried to pretend that he knew more than the experts and recommended taking, injecting bleach and disinfectant and sunlight and all of those really crazy things. And now you have the right coming after the current president saying, well, when are you going to do something about it? Okay, fine. The guy just got there. Why not have that same level of urgency and of questioning with the former president than they have with the current president? I don't get it.
Of course you get it. And it's so ugly. It's so obvious. Deep denial. We made ourselves sick, and we have to realize how so we can make ourselves better. They play to advantage. And look, I know this comes with a price. I know that they will attack. They care about deaths. They care about bad things like violence when it suits them. All summer long, they were so worried about political violence. Not on January 6th, when they were running for their own lives. It is as ugly as it is obvious. And yeah, they'll come after you for saying it because that's the state of play and people love the bloodlust of it. Mm. But the truth matters, Don, because people are going to look back at this as a low point in our history. We've never seen Americans let one another die for reasons like this ever before.
Think about 500,000 people so far, and you still have idiots out there saying it's not real, it's a hoax, you're taking away my liberty because I don't want to wear a mask. It is the worst human behavior, the worst aspect of human behavior that I have seen that culminated into an insurrection on Capitol Hill.
And a political irony, and I'll let you go. The president was so against any social distancing, any closures, any requirements. They may have saved his ass, and I'll tell you why. If people had been able to hold funerals all along this time, and you saw procession and the pain and the sorrow and the loss, it would have been so much more palpable. People have had to suffer in silence. They didn't even get to say goodbye.
I still haven't said goodbye to one of my friends. And I think you know Robbie Brown, who was a big real estate guy here in the city. Just great guy, charitable guy, philanthropic. He had this big thing for AIDS that he did every year, raised millions of dollars, and one of the biggest real estate agents in the city. And he died, and I still have not had a chance to mourn. We haven't put together
any sort of thing for him because it just keeps going on.
And remember, it's not just the people who die from COVID; it's the people who die during this time period.
Yes.
You know, we lost my godmother,
Yeah.
and you know, my uncle Nick and the family. You know, there before the grace, they held each other together.
Yeah.
And they suffered in silence because they couldn't celebrate my aunt the way she deserves. We will.
Yeah.
But that's part of this also. And it was all about denying the reality for political advantage.
I think about just our former colleague, Sonny Hostin, her in-laws.
Yeah.
Both of them died of COVID, and they can't mourn them properly. So my heart goes out to
No, and that's an important part of the process. And I'm just saying, look, they'll talk about this. They'll cast political blame. It's, you know, it's going on right now in my life, right? I'm just saying, be even about it. Because you don't get to see it in some places and not others. You want to make the case every time.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that.
Proportionality and don't be a hypocrite. Thank you, sir.
I love you, D-Line.
I was waiting for that.
Favorite part of my
I
life.
love you more. I'll see you soon. So, you know, this is an incredible milestone that we're talking about, one that we wish we had not reached. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Donald. Thank you so much for joining. President Joe Biden giving America a message tonight, and one I think that only this president could give, not the former. The message that this country needs on a night with the death toll from the pandemic passed 500,000 people. Let's remember that. The message the country needs after a year of mass death on a scale that first horrified us, and then it overwhelmed us, and then it made us numb.
I know what it's like to not be there when it happens. I know what it's like when you are there, holding their hands. There's a look in your eye and they slip away. That black hole in your chest, you feel like you're being sucked into it. The survivor's remorse, the anger, the questions of faith in your soul. For some of you, it's been a year, a month, a week, a day, even an hour. And I know that when you stare at that empty chair around the kitchen table, it brings it all back, no matter how long ago it happened, as if it just happened that moment you look at that empty chair. The birthdays, the anniversaries, the holidays without them. And the everyday things, the small things, the tiny things that you miss the most. That scent when you open the closet. That park you go by that you used to stroll in. That movie theater where you met. The morning coffee you shared together. The bend in his smile. The perfect pitch to her laugh. I know it's hard, I promise you, I know it's hard, I remember. But that's how you heal, you have to remember.
I can only imagine him in this moment doing that. I can't imagine the former president doing that at all, ever. Flags at half staff at the White House, I should say, and the Capitol, flown at half staff. The Capitol, where just a few short weeks ago, incited by the then president, rioted. President Joe Biden's nominee for Attorney General promises investigating the attack on Capitol Hill will be his top priority, and vows to fully prosecute the white supremacists and terrorists who stormed the seat of our government.
If confirmed, I will supervise the prosecution of white supremacists and others who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, a heinous attack that sought to disrupt a cornerstone of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power to a newly elected government.
So, and as America
loved one, because of course he knows grief very well. That's been a big part of his public life. And so he was kind of hinging on that, talking about that as he was making this address. And he was also looking forward to what's to come, talking about how we cannot keep living like the way we are right now. And that's what really was also so different from former President Trump is every time you heard from them, it was always forward looking. And we've heard that from some of the health officials who worked for them is they felt like they always had to only talk about the good news and not the realistic news of what was actually going on. But you really did see kind of both sides of that from President Biden earlier tonight as they were trying to mark this. And of course, we should also note that they did lower the flags to have staff as well in honor of those who have passed away from coronavirus.
Kelly, there's another massive change of approach at the Justice Department. Let's talk about the confirmation hearing of Attorney General Merrick Garland. We learned that investigating the Capitol riot is going to be a top priority for him. He recognized the current threat of domestic extremists and white supremacy. He talked emotionally and personally about justice and what that means to him. How big a change will that be at the DOJ if he is confirmed? I said Attorney General, if he is confirmed to be Attorney General.
Don, it's a 180. It was exactly what, as a former prosecutor, as a DOJ alum, I wanted to hear. The clarity that Merrick Garland brought to the January 6th situation. He said, straight up, this is going to be my top priority. And by the way, I had the same reaction as Caitlin, thinking about the contrast here. I contrasted Merrick Garland's clarity about the threat of domestic extremism with the prior Attorney General, Bill Barr, who bent himself in half to try to avoid ever acknowledging the threat of domestic extremism following Donald Trump's lead on that. I also thought it was really significant that Merrick Garland said today, not only am I going to go after the people, the individuals who actually physically went into the Capitol, but we're going to take this as far as it goes and go beyond that to go after, to investigate, and potentially prosecute
let's play
people
that.
who were responsible for this.
Let's play it, and then we'll let you continue. Here it is.
Yeah.
Investigations, I began as a line assistant U.S. attorney. I was a supervisor. We begin with the people on the ground, and we work our way up to those who are involved and further involved. And we will pursue these leads wherever